Welcome everybody, it's Tuesday night and I'm MC Toon. And tonight I've got a debate. A debate against Apocryphon and maybe a guy that goes by Don Pettit, but I don't think he's the real Don Pettit. We'll see. This is set up on the Tartaria Discord server, but it's not just a free-for-all. It's specifically one or the other of them. So it should be a little less chaotic. So that's what's going on. A couple things. I did a video on my Conspiracy Tunes channel. I got something wrong. A few people commented about it. I conflated stellar aberration with stellar parallax. I thought they were the same. They're not. So I'm actually bringing on to the Toon Show podcast. If you're not if you don't subscribe to it, go subscribe to it. The Toon Show on all the podcasting platforms or on YouTube, just Toon Show. To explain the difference. So that's hopefully going to go out on this Sunday. So be looking for that. So anyway, that's what's going on now. I'm going to bring up the Discord server. You should be able to all watch it as it goes. It's already in progress there. There you see it down there, right down there. Down there. So, and I'm going to pop over and we're going to see what they've got going on. Need to jump in to their chat and we're going to kick it off here. Oh, I make sure that their channel is not muted so that you can hear their lovely tones. Who bets on whether or not Jim will interrupt?
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm going to be listening in the background, but I'm going to be so.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, here we go. Welcome, Mr.
Hello.
MC Toon, to the Are You Smarter Than a Flat Earther? We actually have Apocryphon in the room here. Thanks for stopping by. And, well, what's going on?
All right. Well, hello. Glad to be here. Apocryphon, glad you could make it. We had a little mixed wires or cross wires on the setup here, but I'm glad we could make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was a little thrown off, but it's all good.
All right. Here we are. Awesome. Well, rumor is that you think the Earth is not a globe.
Well, yeah, the rumors are true.
All right.
That's funny. And the rumor is that you think it is.
It definitely,
which is crazy, right?
Definitely is a globe.
It's because the Bible says so, right, Loon?
No, not at all.
Come on, Loon. Come on. Let's go, Loon.
Go on. Before we go off the rails, though, we did want to try and keep it a 1v1, at least for a bit. If Apocryphon wants to tap later on and Don Pettit doesn't show up, it'll be all yours, Jim.
There is no dispute. The Bible says the earth's a ball.
Well, yeah,
Earth's a ball, Toon.
true
Earth's a
that
ball.
the Bible does say that, but that's not why we know
Earth's
that.
a
Really
ball.
good ingenuity.
All right, Jim. Thanks for leaving and showing your true colors. You were a big hit on last week's video. Maybe you want to pop into the comments or the live chat on the YouTube, Jim. I'm sure they'll love you there. All right, Apocryphon. So what was it that convinced you?
That it's not a ball?
Yeah. Well, no, that it is flat or whatever shape you think it is.
Well, I mean, I like I said before, even to you, I don't believe that we actually can measure the totality of it, the totality of it. So I don't want to subscribe, at least so I don't subscribe to any shape or to even know that we know these claims and we can make maps and models and like you believe in a model, that's fine, that's cool. I mean, a lot of people do. But what made me come to that realization, I think, is multiple things. A lot of it had to deal with, a lot of the discussions that we have in these not only in these servers, but also online, in other communities. So, I mean, it's kind of, then I took a trip back to the scriptures and then I started to realize, like, this entire time that I was reading them and searching them, I mean, I read the book front back 3 to 4 times. And I never really even thought about like how, it's pointing out a certain, created, surface that we're even standing on and living on. And then once hearing it being pointed out, I went back and I searched the scriptures and I mean,
So,
if you click on my name in here, you'll see the scriptures that I'm talking about. But go on.
so for clarity, you read the Bible and then concluded what?
Well, the claims that were being made, and then I went back and read them in the scriptures, and then realized, like, wow, like that's
Read
how
what?
did I not? I like, for instance, when he says that he drew like on the face, like a compass on the face of the earth, and he drew it in a circle. Like, I've read that 3-4 times over, but never even like put it together that it was describing a flat planar surface that we're living on. You know what I mean? I never thought about that until it was pointed out.
So now I'm confused here, Apocryphon.
Uh-huh.
You think the Earth is flat or not?
I think that there is like a basin, right? Like a water basin, like a jacuzzi, like it's round, right? And then imagine the water is all being contained in this like round, cool thing that's been built.
Uh-huh.
And then the land that that we're on is nothing more than the deeps that were rising up to allow the water to all go to their respective places that we know them to be, like the way we know the oceans to be.
Okay, so you're.
But
I
I'm not
like
gonna
this.
say flat,
I like
though.
this new thing, a jacuzzi earther. That's a new one. So
Well, that's just describing the land part, like what we're on. Like if you're on a boat, you're in the water. If you're on the land, you're on dirt.
uh-huh.
But I'm saying, like, what's outside of that jacuzzi? Like, is there a like this awesome, cool electromagnetic toroidal field, whatever? Like, there's all kinds of other things and like theories to go by and like discussions and topics. But I'm saying, like, on here on the ground where we're at, I'm saying this is what I think of it as, like a basin. You can say jacuzzi, that's cool. Whatever.
Okay, all right. So in the water in this jacuzzi is then curved into a sphere. Is it?
Well, no.
Is it concave
be,
into a sphere? Is it wavy? Does it undulate? What's the general like layout of the water in the jacuzzi?
Well, in the world that we live, if you dug a hole in your backyard and put water in it, clearly, if you were to take a measuring stick, you're gonna realize that the water is level across. So,
Okay,
no matter
now,
even if there's rocks. Okay, go ahead. What was that?
but
Watch out for the teacher trap.
the what?
I'm sorry.
Hey, here your coach has something. Go ahead. Who's coaching? It's okay. It's okay.
No. So all I'm saying is, though, that like if you have like let's say big boulders on the bottom of your hole that you've dug, like the water is just going to just fall around those boulders and it's just going to fill up in that big hole that you dug. So it doesn't matter the shape of the bottom of it.
Yeah,
but
I'm
it is
certainly not talking about that. I'm talking about the surface.
Oh yeah, so the surface is obviously, that's why we call it sea level, right? Because it's horizontal. I mean that's very, very. I don't know why you guys.
So to be clear, going back centuries, are you using the definition of level that goes back centuries, or are you using a different one?
I'm using level the way we know it to be, and
okay,
level.
Just give me that. Just give me the real clear definition, so there's no ambiguity.
Okay, yeah, it's horizontal. That's it.
Okay, so you're avoiding the word that I know you're trying to avoid. So when you say water is level, do you mean that it's flat or that it's curved?
It would be flat. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a long roundabout way of you. Apocryphon. Let's just be clear. That's a long roundabout way of you saying that you're a flat earther while trying to not say you're a flat earther.
And that's fair. That's fine.
Right.
I mean, I would say it'd be better to just say that I don't believe the Earth is a ball, because I still, even saying like I'm a flat earther, I think that's still saying like that. I know that it is not a ball because I know that it's this particular shape. But I would say, no, I don't know the shape. And I would say no one does. You would have to believe what someone else told you what it was, because nobody in this room or online has ever seen the ends of it or the complete roundness of it. Now you can go like, oh yeah, we have NASA photos and videos. Whatever.
but-
I also
but you know,
I also
there's-
can see Santa Claus fly over.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
you know what I
talking
mean?
about that. But there's other ways to test other than to just go far away and use your eyes. There's other ways to confirm the shapes of things, right? If you were blind and somebody handed you an object, you could use your hands to figure out the shape of the object, right?
Okay.
If you could see an object, but it was just the size of it was 10 miles long, and you could only walk around on the surface of it, you could potentially devise some instruments to figure out whether or not it's any particular shape at all, right? So there's ways other than just looking at it, right? To determine what something's form is.
Yeah, but I think that the ways that you're trying to explain is a blind person knows when they have a baseball in their hand, but no one's big enough to hold a world in their hands and say, yeah it's a ball, guys.
Yeah, but there's other ways.
Saying.
There's other ways.
Well, there are other proposed theories, and they say that this is how we are getting these measurements, and so I get what you're saying. You're right. I agree with you. There are ways that you can prove your model, and I agree to that. You're right. You're absolutely right. But that doesn't necessarily make it true, and that's all. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So let's just be I don't know why this new trend of I don't know who started it. Bev certainly works hard at it, but right. I mean, nobody here is confused about what you think the general shape is or the general form is, and nobody here wonders about whether or not you think the Gleason map is an appropriate map. We all kind of know that that's probably what you think of, right?
Okay.
So
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
and that's this positive.
I'm sorry. I'm grabbing another beer. I'm sorry. So if I get loud right now, I'm just grabbing another beer.
How many beers deep are you?
Well, I actually just drank about 2 of them in the past 30 minutes, whatever. But I'm getting my third. But yesterday, oh my God, last night was amazing. I had a good time. And
wait, what's that? 7, 12?
Last night, I think I counted the bottles. Let me see. You want 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 32, 34, maybe 35. That was last night, though.
What the hell? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to go get more.
Dude, your liver is worse than James Bond's liver.
Is that 3.2 alcohol, or is that you have
that's Bud Light.
5% in there?
It's all Bud Light.
Okay.
No. It's Coors Light, actually.
Oh, it's a Bud
I was
Light.
just talking about that earlier with Sin. Oh, by the way, Sin says, why don't you want to debate him?
Sin Cleanser, all right, you gotta. If I would just punch that kid in the face like I keep asking him. I wouldn't punch him in the face. I'd give him a big hug. I'd give him a big hug and I'd say, Sin Cleanser, sack up, man. So 2-3 weeks ago, somebody in the comments in my live chat asked, why am I scared to debate him? I'm like, I'm not scared to debate him. And so I messaged him and I said, somebody in my live chat said that I'm scared to debate you. So let me just clear that up right now, Sin Cleanser. Let's debate. He's like, haha. That was it. And then it was last week, somebody said something somewhere. I got a screenshot of it. I sent it to him. Right? And then he responded that he needs to pray about it.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
anyway, Sin Cleanser, dude, I'm not running from you. I keep asking you. I'm ready. So it's like it's a joke. Like I keep asking him and challenging him, and then people keep saying, why am I scared? I'm not. So all right, anyway.
Hey Loon, when you said it was a joke, are you self-projecting? Is that what you're doing, Loon? Come on, Loon.
Oh,
Talk
Jim.
to us.
Jim, why don't you pop into the live chat
Talk
here?
to us, Loon. Hey, Loon, modern day debate, including biblical cosmology. Let's have thousands and thousands of people watch it over time. Just you and me, Loon. Loon!
I will do
Loon!
it.
Hey, Loon!
I will do.
What about?
I was trying to
what about
answer you,
that?
Jim. I was trying to answer. So shh. I'm happy to debate you on Demon Stride's channel. He offered it last week. Medicinal Mass Media. He can be the moderator. We can both be on camera. I think it'll be great there. You know that I don't debate on modern day debate.
Modern day debate.
Jim, I was talking. Jim, you know that I don't debate on modern day debate, so you can posture as if you want to debate me, knowing we all know that you don't actually want to debate me because you are safe in your knowledge that I don't debate on modern day debate.
And Loon,
all right.
Hey Loon, we all know that you get help off your computer with questions and answers.
All right.
We know you love to.
All right. I just for those in the Discord server, just know that I muted him. So on my side, if when I'm done with with Apocryphon, then I'll unmute him if he wants to face me. But he just keeps interrupting like a little child. So that's his thing.
So the stipulation would be that we have to have one of those gaming cams on your keyboard and mouse to see if you're actually cheating or playing.
I'm good for that. I have a camera. Well, I mean, you don't see me on Discord, but I have a camera right above my whole workstation, so you can see if I'm typing or not. So that works. And he'd do the same, of course. Of course, he would do the same. All right.
Absolutely.
Apocryphon. So
was that?
Hey now, that was wild right now. I was just listening.
Oh, is he still going?
No, he stopped. Someone muted him.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, if he goes, he's going to distract you. It'll be funnier for me to have you be distracted by his constant talking.
Oh, good.
So, all right. Now,
No
Apocryphon, let me just. What was it? Eric Dubé videos? You can be honest. It's okay. You're just between you and me. Was it Eric Dubé videos?
No. Actually, believe it or not, this happened.
Oh, where'd you go? Oh, I was kicked off the server. Look at that. I was just booted from the server. Classy. Jim got so butthurt that he got me kicked off the server. Amazing. So you're seeing my, I'll take that off there. Well, whoever did that in the middle of a debate, had to kick me off. Shows how mature they are. So yes, I ruffled his feathers a little bit. Anyway, until I get an invite back and that gets cleared, I'll read a few super chats here and talk to you guys. So King Crew is a new member at Einstein. He's been a member before. Maybe this is a new level. Mr. Unite for the Chillwind for $2 says Earth is James Brown's celebrity hot tub. Caucasian Sensation says, can we get a sober flirt for once? Drugs are bad. For some reason, it seems that on these different Discord servers, the flirts are allergic to being sober if they're debating. So anyway, Steve6464 says Apocryphon. I'll have to save that. Could level in sea level mean the same as height, stage, or point? So instead of sea level mean sea height? Oh, I could. Oh, I have to drag my window wider. So instead of sea level flat, might it mean sea height? Indeed. It could. Well, he certainly didn't want to admit that he's a flat earther, but we know he's a flat earther. So this whole refusing to just admit the position that you hold is basically their way of admitting that they know they don't have evidence to support their position. Because if they knew their position, they knew that they could support it with evidence, then they would just support it with evidence. Since they don't have evidence, what do? They have to do that. So, anyway, so yeah, Demon Stride says he's fixing it. So I'll be back on in a little bit, apparently. So Mr. Sweet Potato says, I believe this flurf is a Poe, and an unimaginative one at that. Well, if he's a Poe, he spends all day long poeing. If you go to these different Discord servers, I'll jump around and just see who's in the voice chat. Just like I don't go in. I'll just look at them and there he is. There he is. Every day is like he's in there. I don't know what else he does, but Facty says, how do we know that I'm sober like in Toonshine? Well, I don't have any in here at the moment, so I'll have to get some going in a little bit. Oh, Extra J says, looks like it was Jason Whatcurve. And I heard him in there earlier. That guy's drunk as can be, too. But anyway, Miss Sweet Potato, I don't know. Maybe he is a Poe. Some of them are like that. We got NANA comes in, thank you so much, with a $66.60 super chat. Hail Santa. Says, I could drink most under the table. Nobody needs NASA to know the Earth is a globe. Read some books. Stop watching stupid flat Earth proofs. Hail Santa. Thank you for that. And then PhD Tony for 10 Australians says mean sea level in, oh dear, Thiruvananthapuram is 40 meters lower than mean sea level in Diu due to the gravitational attraction of the Himalayas and the Indian Ocean gravitational low. Interesting. Oh, I'm still banned. I tried to join. He sent me the link. I'm still banned. Oh dear. That's pretty cool. I don't know what that. I will try it again. Thiruvananthapuram. I'm sure that's not quite the cleanest way to say it. Anyways, 40 meters lower than mean sea level. Very cool. Pat in the chat is a new member at Newton, or has been a member for 13 months at Newton. Says cirrhosis has entered the chat. Bill Tetley says for $1.99 or just $2 if we round up here, says hail Sagan. Sagan was a great. Tell you, growing up in a super like fundamental Baptist background, Sagan was like nobody. No, you couldn't like Sagan. I'm like, dude. I don't know. I think it was great. So Shane's inviting me. Wow, BioDuo is here saying we fixed it for Apo was banned and him was banned and him was banned. So well, I can't get back in though. So tell you what, maybe I'll quit the app and relaunch the app. Was Apocryphon? What do you think? He got mad at me? But I was having a good conversation with him. I thought he was pretty funny. I don't think he would have gotten upset because I said, was it Dubé videos? Oh, Jim banned a bunch of people and everyone here is tripping out, says Matt Klein. Yep. So, all right, I'm relaunching Discord. Try and get that going. Let me get back here. It says, Fa of the QTube family says, group rage quit. I don't know. People. I got messages from all sorts of people in Discord. Let's see. Shane's here. See what he says. Should be good. All right. And there it is. Oh, I'm coming back. It looks like I'm back in. I need to pick a few things. Well, oh, geez, I can't skip my, there's questions. What's your personal political leaning? How about New Age? It doesn't matter. All right. There we go. Your profile icon. Oh, look at that. All right. I'm going to go with that one. I got to set up all this stuff now. Oh, Jason Whatcurve banned me and Apocryphon. There's a picture of it in my Discord. All right. Well, lovely. Here we are. I'm back in. Coming back in. And All right. All right. I'm trying. Clicking everything. All right. Looks like it's firing it up.
Invite him back.
Hello.
Sorry.
So yeah, sorry about that, too. One of our hosts is kind of like a fucking belligerent drunk, so we had to figure that out. But we're good now.
Which one's not? Just to make the list shorter. Which one's not drunk right now?
Me.
Well, who's that?
Me.
Yeah. I mean, I've only had a beer.
Okay.
I'm good.
I should break out my tab. Have a little bit of tab, huh?
I'm a Coca-Cola guy. Thank you.
Got some tab going. All right. Where were we? Apparently somebody kicked out Apocryphon too?
Well, here's the context. Jim was muted, but for some reason Jason went through a ban of 3 people, including you, 2 flat earthers. So who knows the rhyme or reason? Now it's being figured out and re-invites to everybody.
Okay.
Welcome back, Apocryphon. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, I was tripping out.
All right. Well, let's get right back into it. Sorry about that. It's the floor is yours, guys.
All right. Well, thank you. Apocryphon, I had asked, and I thought maybe somebody got upset at me if it was Dubé videos, but you were answering with something else that got you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was. As a matter of fact, I was talking for like a good 2 minutes, and then I realized I'm talking to nobody because I was kicked off, and I was like, I didn't even see the Tartaria server even on my list of servers. Like, wow. I'm like, I just got kicked out. That was weird. Then I found out that you also got kicked out. So
yeah. Well, hey, at least he's not discriminating.
Right.
All right. Well, let's go with this. That there's quite a few things, and since I'm happy to make a positive claim, and you're desperately avoiding it, that's fine. I
think I'm rightfully avoiding it, but go on.
I know. I mean, when I was talking, I'm streaming live on YouTube at the same time here, so I had said while I was out, I said, well, not refusing to make a positive claim is a bit of an admission that you can't support it with evidence, but that's fine. I know I can support it with evidence, so I will say that the flight QF27 from Sydney to Santiago and the flight QF63 from Sydney to Johannesburg, and then is it LA 222 that goes between South America and South Africa? I could be wrong on that. There's 5 or 6 different flights that are flown at least once a week, and things like QF27 and 63 are 4 or 5 times a week. That these flights are direct nonstop flights between Southern Hemisphere cities, and they really exist. People have flown them. In fact, Max Egan, it used to be a flat earther apparently, or something. I don't know. He flew QF27. There's videos on YouTube of people in flight that have flown them. So I will say that those distances, this is very important, because distances between points on the surface of the Earth, you have to know them in order to know how much fuel you need to load into the plane and how long it's going to take and what route you're going to have to take. All these things, it relies on a ton of things that you must know about the shape of the Earth. So those flights take 12 to 14 hours.
Right.
And they go a speed somewhere between 500 and 600 miles an hour. They are sometimes helped by some winds, but typically those winds are not double or triple the speed that they're flying. So that's one way that I know that the Earth is the shape that it is. And I did a video. I challenged 5 flat earthers, I think. Dubé, Dave Weiss, Jaron, Sargent, and Bob Nodell, and so now that's down to just 4. To both that we put $10,000 in escrow with lawyers. We each have a lawyer, and then our lawyers talk to each other. And I haven't gotten any responses. from that. So the point was that we'll get on the plane together on one of these Southern Hemisphere flights. I suggested Sydney to Johannesburg because both sides speak English, and I'm an American, so I speak English, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But no answer from them. But I'd love to take it. So there you go. That's how you know.
Right. It's really interesting to me because, like, if you have a flight that is proving your model, but how is that in your, I guess, because you're saying that you've calculated the distance of the oceans and stuff, right? You're saying that you guys know from one point to another. Like, for instance, the coast of South Africa and the coast of South America, you're saying you know that distance, and it works on the ball. It works in the model. So it like equals a certain, that's what you're saying, right? That's the distance you're flying?
Yeah, you need to know, in order to fly somewhere, you need to be able to plan your route.
No, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so-
no doubt, no doubt. But here's my question to you is like a lot of times, sometimes, you know, in Discord, there's people that want to talk about like space, and then, like, let's say you're going to the moon, or you're going to a certain planet, you know, with the you know, the calculated, you know, telemetry that you have to, like, you know, a slingshot off the moon to fly out to Mars. But, like, here's my question to you though, McToon. Like, so if Mars is a set distance in our time, okay, and we know for a fact that this is the calculated, you know, distance, and all the math and all the, you know, these lab coats and titles that they're like all got together and said, okay, this is how we're gonna get there, and it's gonna by, like, they get it down to like a minute, like, this is when we're gonna get there because we can calculate based upon that distance. Like, well, what happens when you learn that planet is now a million, you know, feet farther than what you, just like you said, you have to plan for that trip. You have to make sure, you know, you have all the, you know, the correct calculations to make it. So what happens when your benchmark, when your X on the map is now stretched out farther away from you? Then I would argue, well, how did they make it there based upon those, you know, measurements? Because technically, I would have filled up the gas tank.
Wait, make it to Santiago or to Johannesburg?
No, I'm saying in space, and I'm going to bring it back to Earth,
Okay.
because I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I'm saying,
Okay.
but yes. So if you're filling up a plane to fly from one place to another, right? And then we're saying this is the distance, so we need this much fuel. Got it. Okay. But I'm saying, like, how do you explain when they're saying there's these, you know, certain distances in space of which they are calculating to reach and to get there? Then all of a sudden you learn that, well, things are farther than what we thought they were because, you know, there's this weird, you know, shift going on in the sky, and for whatever reason. But now, doesn't that make you question, like, well, then how did they send that satellite probe like 60 years ago or 50 years ago? And how did they say they got there at that time of, you know, that they did, when it's now like, now that X has now been pushed farther away? You get what I'm saying, or am I doing a horrible job trying to tell you what I'm talking about?
I think it's the beer talking.
Okay,
I don't know.
That's fair.
I mean, you said you're going to bring it back around, so I hope you do.
No, I'm saying in general, in like these distances that you're saying we're calculating.
Yeah.
And I took it to space real quick because I've always found that, like, it's nonsense when they say that, like, you know, this light in the sky, or this, you know, round object that we want to call a planet, this thing is this many miles away. And they're like, yeah, we know it's that far because we sent a probe or a satellite all the way over there, and we got the distance of it. And I just think that's a whole lot of nonsense, to be honest. And then that trip that we're calculating to take.
So
go ahead.
Apocryphon, that's just incredulity, right? I mean, if you don't get it, you don't like it, you don't understand it, whatever. It doesn't. And I didn't bring it up, so you're trying to, I don't know, refute something. I mean, I'm waiting for you to get back around here.
Yeah, I know. And it just sparked my, like, memory of, like, thinking, like, how if, for instance, if you say that we are millions of miles away from this particular object, but then years later they're like, oh, we are way further than that. It's actually 7 million miles more. So then it's like, well, then how did we calculate?
Wait, when did that happen?
I'm just saying it's eventually going to happen, as it always does. It's like, so don't you know that how the sun used to be only 1 million miles away from the Earth, or 3 million miles?
No, it's always been the same distance.
No, actually you're wrong.
No,
Once
the
upon a
actual
time,
distance, the actual distance hasn't changed.
Once
it's
time it did. Sorry, it did.
It actually changed, McToon. And here's the thing. Here's the thing.
So wait.
In today's world,
I want to be clear.
Go ahead.
The actual distance between the Earth and the Sun has been relatively unchanged for quite a long time. It's people's.
I'll agree to that.
People's methods that they used to measure the distance that has improved over time, and some of the older ones were very bad.
Okay. So is it safe to say that? Okay, let's take McToon. And let's put him on a time machine and throw him back into when people believe that the sun was 3 million miles away. And you're a little baby, and you grow up, and some scientist dad is like, "See that light in the sky, son? It's 3 million miles away." And that's all you know, because you know no better, because somebody told you that's what it is. Now, eventually, all these years later, you come back to the future and you're like, wow, these guys are crazy. They actually thought it's 3 million miles away. What happens in like 90 years, McToon, when we're not here, but the kids of that generation, they're like, wow, those people in 2000s were crazy. They thought that the sun was 93 million. We know that's 105 million miles. How did they come up with 93? Those guys are idiots. Like, I'm just saying, like, the way we look back and see the changes. Go ahead.
I can explain it. So science is always improving, and the precision and accuracy of the way that we measure things is always improving. And so the ways when people had determined the distance to the sun centuries ago was not very good, and then we improved things. We figured other things out better. We determined other ways to measure the distances. Then it relies on some other things, right? So knowing the distance to the moon, for an example, tells us that one of the ways to measure the distance to the sun is as a multiple of the distance to the moon. So if we did not have a very accurate distance to the moon, but we had a really accurate relationship between the moon distance and the sun distance, well, then that relationship is good, but the specific distance to the moon is not. Well, then we can make some improvements, and we've made improvements on all of those things. So will they in 20 years say that the sun is not 93 million, but it's 105 million? No, because the precision and the error bars of the measurements have gotten very small, and we know to a high level of accuracy. So those aren't going to change. So when somebody sends a probe to Mars, they don't just suddenly discover that Mars is, 20% farther away.
Well, that's my point, though, because once upon a time, I'm sure that in the time when they started saying, oh, it's not 3 miles, it's like 15 million, or maybe it was less than 15 million, but they're like, it's 15 million miles away. I'm pretty sure those guys were like, yeah. Now we got it, guys. Now we know. Now we're using way more accurate. But eventually, if you look through the history of time, it kept increasing and increasing and increasing. And now we're at a point where it's 93 million miles. But I'm just saying, McToon, like, we can arrogantly say, oh, no, now we got it. But I'm just saying, like, history tends to repeat itself. And eventually, someone's going to come out and be like, oh, no, we have to, we had to calculate the fringe shift and, the parallax. And now we got it, guys. Now we got it. Here's a better instrument. Oh, no, dude. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just all nonsense, to be honest. But here we are.
All right. Well, that was quite a bit off topic on what I brought up. Was it going to come back? Is it going to come back around?
Yeah. Let's go back. Okay. So you're right. And I did say I was, so let me bring it back. So like going back to the flights, right, of the planes.
Yeah.
Like I personally would just have to trust that they did have they took the calculations and the measurements and this is what they're saying it is, because I personally haven't gone and measured the distances of the bottom of the sea. Okay, so I don't honestly know.
Wait, you don't need to measure the bottom of the sea to know how far it is from Santiago to Sydney.
Well, you're right. Maybe if I took like a giant string and just blowed it all across the ocean, maybe I don't know.
Well, I mean, they have.
I'm saying, like, how else would you measure it?
Well, there's many other ways to measure it, but they have pulled, seriously, wires and fiber optic cables across the ocean.
Right.
And when they did that, they needed to know how far it was. And if they got that wrong, then they would definitely have too much or too little. And that stuff isn't cheap. So having too much is a waste, and having too little leaves you out in the middle of the ocean with a spool that's empty. So they need to know that very well. And
I know,
and Australia,
I know underwater welders. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Well, they know that very well, but then again, they're not going 1,000 feet for all these wires. They are going on the shallowest parts of the ocean to ensure they know the depths. Anything under, 10, 20 miles, they're not going to know, and they don't know it.
But
they just
we were talking
pretend
about
to know it.
We were talking about the lateral distances, though, not the depth.
Right, but you will still need to know the distances between the depths and the pitches and everything for the lengths of the wires.
Sure, and
true,
and the
I fail to see how any difference of measure
Michael J.
travel through
Smith.
shape.
Michael J. Smith. This is Don Pettit and Apocryphon. So I know, I know Don hadn't been introduced, but it was a setup.
I did want to.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I did want to give Don an introduction here. Don Pettit here, not the real Don Pettit, just a really good actor.
Oh no,
is here to. Are we tagging out? Is Apocryphon? Are you done now, or are you handing?
No, I mean, I don't think we finished, but it's okay. Like, he could jump in too at the same time. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Oh, and I would like to make the argument: science is not evolving, or it's not getting better through age. It's merely a couple guys creating their imaginations. That's all it is. It's just all imagination.
How is it not getting better?
It's not getting better. It's a couple guys that have been given a little piece of paper saying they're scientists, and then see what they can imagine. That's all science is nowadays.
So Don, what are you talking to me on? What kind of device? Are you on a computer or on a phone?
I'm on a desktop.
Okay, desktop. Now you know that people do this on a phone, right?
Yes.
And 20 years ago, could they do it on a phone?
That's technology.
Yes, they could.
They could do it on a phone? They could get on the internet, on Discord on a phone, and
well, certain people, not like the general peasants like you.
Peasants like me. What do you mean certain people? Who could?
Nobody could get on a phone on the internet 20 years ago.
Yeah, there was
Cell
internet
phones
20 years
were out
ago.
in the 90s.
There was internet 50 years ago. If you guys don't understand that there was internet 50 years ago, well, then you don't understand.
I mean,
nothing.
apparently you don't know when them cables were
50 years ago.
I'm very familiar with when the internet first was started, and 50 years ago is being a bit generous. I do know, for example, when the earliest RFCs were written. I've looked at some of the earliest ones. So I am familiar when things like DARPA was setting up the internet, and it doesn't. I mean, in the early 70s, right on the edge, right on the cusp.
70s of it. is when like Messenger came out.
When?
60s or 70s, like the late 60s, early 70s is when Messenger came out.
Facebook Messenger?
No, not Facebook Messenger, like the basics of Facebook Messenger. So like MSN Messenger, like basics of Messenger came out in the late 60s, early 70s.
In 1969. You're talking about 1969. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's 1969.
What the hell are you talking about?
The what he's talking about is like a message was
data
sent.
transfer.
Yeah, data was sent like, electronically in 1969. So technically that was like the first network of what we would call internet today. That was the
Okay.
first internetwork. That's what he's saying. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, first they were localized, then they built the World Wide Web. They connected it all together.
Really?
Yeah,
when
the
when did the
World
World
Wide
Wide
Web
Web
was
start?
started in
When did the World
89.
Wide Web start, Michael?
89.
Yeah. Who started?
1989. I started three times.
Who
yeah.
started it?
Before it went public, or
Well,
after
it
it
was-
went public?
who
It went
started-
public in what,
Oh,
89?
all right. There's a lot of people talking here. I just want to get Jim before Demon Stride interrupts
I
and
know.
stops Jim from talking again. Michael J. Smith. Who started the World Wide Web?
Tim Berners.
Tim
invented
Berners-Lee.
it.
That's right.
Who started it? I don't know.
That's right. Tim Berners-Lee at CERN.
Who started
on
it
a
or
next,
built the first
on a
web page?
next. Yeah, it was Tim Berners-Lee.
Yeah, it's just a web of connections. It's the World Wide Web.
Yes, but all right. So
That's why we laid the transatlantic and the Pacific. And when we did those distances, we found out the contours and the floors of the ocean made
yeah.
it longer distance
All right. Well,
than we actually thought it would
Michael,
be, because there were some valleys.
I don't want to
and
be
hills,
rude,
so
but this
the
is
distances
time
weren't
for
exact.
there's really time for Apocryphon and Don here. But let's go a little longer before we just open it up to everybody.
Yeah, keep it low grade.
Yeah. So the
One
point,
day,
the
bro,
point
you
was
and I.
the point was that they need to know the distances in order to pull those cables between, and the depth of the ocean is the early ones, of course, were a little more challenging, but since they've mapped the floor of the ocean using quite a few different techniques, they know the depth of the areas that they're going to lay that cable on. So they know the distances, they know the depths. They need to know these distances very well.
Oh,
And if it's off by two,
we actually used way more cable than
Michael.
we thought we would.
Jeez, dude, could you just stop?
No, like listening to him, like he's talking truth. But at the end of the day, they only know the depths that they're going to place things. If they don't know the depth of something, they're not going to place it. So guess
Okay.
what? 1,000 meters down, they're not going to place it. There's too much pressure; it would destroy the wiring.
Why? They're solid cables. It's not that. But why is that pressure going to be a problem?
It's just way too much pressure. Like, even if you consider pressure would stop, if you understand anything about electricity, pressure will stop electricity.
Wow, that's new. Yes, explain that to me.
It's just simple.
It's simple. All right. Well, go ahead.
Yes, it's just like wind will slow down a fucking plane, and just like pressure will slow down electricity.
Yeah, I'm going to need a citation for that.
Well, that's just my thought process. There's no citation.
Okay, then I'll ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, there is.
I'm going to
See,
completely
because
ignore it when you say that, because it's just your thought process. You know, that which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. It's kind of funny to suggest that pressure would stop electricity.
You assert without evidence.
What?
But then you sit there and demand that everybody believe your assertions.
What did I assert?
Everything you say. Because
Well,
of your 5 or 6 scientists
feel
that
free.
you say is evidence.
Hey.
And your 5 or 6 scientists, in theory, is not evidence. Because it's all
Absolutely.
theory.
Every time I make a claim, feel free to ask for a citation with empirical evidence. I'll be glad to provide it.
I don't need citations because there's no empirical evidence
Well,
to your citation.
So you say
It's
without
all
evidence.
Theory.
No, it's not. It's empirical. The stuff that I cite is based on empirical. But all right. Well,
Based on your empirical. Based on your perception of empirical. Your perception of empirical is basically 5 guys sitting in a university telling you what's right and what's wrong. That's your empirical evidence.
dude,
That's not my empirical.
Have you ever eaten at Five Guys? I mean, that's a great restaurant.
Oh yeah, 5 guys.
And
Fucking
you know,
awesome.
and you know those the people that have peanut allergies. I feel sorry for them. They can't go there and enjoy what is Five Guys and fries. It's
yeah,
amazing.
a total of like what 0.8% of the world's population has peanut and
Wow.
allergies, but
And-
the whole world can't eat peanuts.
And none of them live in Thailand. Can you think about
None
that?
of them.
If
None
you
of them.
lived in Thailand and you were allergic to peanuts, you'd be done.
Or China, or any Eastern country, because everything they put in their food is nuts.
Yep. That's nuts, man. All right.
It's
So
fucking crazy nuts.
That's actually
I actually got to watch my. You're on YouTube right now, right there, McToon?
I am, but it's okay. You can say
Sorry.
nuts. And if you,
You can
if
say-
you wrap it up in a
you can
double
say
entendre,
the,
it's even better.
Word too.
All right, so this all started with, let's come back around here. This all started with the distances between major cities in the southern hemisphere are connected with direct nonstop flights, and the amount of time that they take, the route that they fly, and the speed that they travel all matches the globe and doesn't match any flat Earth map I've seen or any idea that I've seen for that. So.
I mean, again, I can't argue against somebody saying that they know this or they know that. I mean, if that's what you know, then that's what you know. That's fine. I'm not gonna argue that. But I'm just saying, like,
So you accept it then?
what is beyond that? What about the things that we can't measure? What about the places that we can't? Now, I know that you again would believe that we did and they do. But I don't know, like in today's time, who else has measured Antarctica in today's world?
Well, it's thousands of people there, right?
No one's measured Antarctica except for people 1,000 years ago, and we all know that to be true.
Well,
What?
that's what I'm saying. Like
People
like
1,000 years ago measured it? Hold on a second.
Yep.
Let's see that. Citation needed.
We've got maps that have literally pointed out the land masses of Antarctica.
All right. Bring
Without
forth
the snow.
the maps.
Without the snow.
I'd love to see these maps.
Well, maybe someday I will enlighten you.
Oh, so you don't have them? Oh.
Well, I can Google them. It's
Kind of
pretty easy. So
kind of a letdown, man.
last week you told me to Google the stuff that you were telling me. So why don't you Google the stuff I'm telling you this week?
I told you to Google stuff last week?
Well, you started bitching at me because I was trying to, or you stated I was trying to Google something to try to refute your argument.
Okay.
So why don't you use that Google that you so often quote to me and
so
try
often-
to dispute my
One
argument?
time. Well, I'll go back to this. It is not my my place to support your claims. That's your
Well, this
your
is the
place.
second time I'm talking to you, so it's a 50-50 right now, right?
No, dude, you said that last week. You said last week I gave you crap because you were Googling things on the fly, right? You Google things last week? I don't think I did, but maybe I did. I just don't recall it. What was it? What did I say to you?
I don't know. It was something I said, and then you're like, "Oh, go Google it" or something like that.
Okay.
I'm just. I don't want to swear or nothing. I'm just messing with you.
All right.
It took me a second to figure out a word that didn't start with an F.
Well, I'm just saying this, McToon. Like your distances, everyone just has been told this is what is. So when you get in a plane, you're not like sitting there like calculating and measuring. You just get on a plane, you fly, and that's most of the people. No one's gonna even bother about how far they're flying. But at the same time, like even in the distance, that doesn't necessarily tell you the shape of the thing that you're even flying on.
Oh,
How
does it not? If the flight times match the globe, and the distances match the globe, and don't match any other possible Earth shape, then what can we say that is evidence for?
I don't see what you mean by that is matching the shape of
So-
of a globe.
All right, so let's back up a little bit. So the general way to do science is you have a hypothesis, you make predictions from that, then you compare those predictions to reality. And if those predictions match reality, then that supports your hypothesis and gives it credibility, gives it, some support. And so after you've done that many times, you have then a large number of different things that support your same hypothesis. Well, then you can have some confidence that the hypothesis is correct. If things contradict it, then you can say, well, that doesn't look good for the hypothesis. Let's try again. Let's do another one. And if you get a whole bunch that contradict it, then you say, well, looks like that one was wrong. Let's figure something else out. So you have a hypothesis that the Earth is a globe with a specific radius, and that Sydney is at a specific location on the globe, and that Santiago is at a specific location on the globe. And then you take a flight, or you look at somebody else's flight, and you say, well, the amount of time that it took matches the hypothesis. The speed that it took matches the hypothesis. And all of these things match. Well, that's supporting evidence for it. You do that a bunch of times, like 5 days a week, you run that flight, and you say, well, that distance seems pretty good.
Okay, so like if you were to take a flight, you said, where did you say you want to go from where to where?
Sydney to Santiago.
Okay, so let me look at it real quick. Oh darn it! What was that about? I didn't put me in maps. Here we go. So if you went from Sydney, Australia,
yeah, and if you're on Google Maps, you can right click and then go measure distance, and then go over to Santiago, and then click, and that'll bring you to the other side. It'll actually show you, an approximate route that a plane would generally take.
Do you pick that route because that would like technically be the furthest route on a Gleason's map? Is that why you picked that route?
No, there are definitely farther ones, like Perth to the east coast of Argentina, I think. QF-14 is a flight that did happen once, so I don't bring it up because you can't go fly it yourself. But
well, it looks
QF-27
like the
you
south
can.
of Africa. I'm sorry, the southernmost furthest point in South America would be the furthest point away from Australia. It just looks like that.
Yeah, but not a lot of people live there, so the demand for flights is very small.
Okay, so you're saying that we can't take a flight. So the second best then would be to a place closer, but even still, that's relatively far, right? Like even still.
Yeah.
So
very few planes can take that, because if you get a 747, that needs to be a long haul version of it.
So here's my question to you. When you look at a Gleason's map, yeah, that looks really, really, really far, considering that, when you fly from New York to LA, as I have multiple times, like that's quite a good flight. It does take some time. But if you're to look at South America to Australia on a Gleason's map, yeah, that looks like that's like what, like 8 or 9 times.
It's it's about 2.5 times the distance.
Well,
yeah, and QF-27 on a Gleason's map would go over large portions of South America, over Mexico, over the west coast of America, Alaska, cut down across Asia on a Gleason map, the shortest distance route, and it'd be 2.5 times the distance of the actual route that it takes.
So actually it's like 6 or 7 times the distance on a Gleason's map. If you were to take America and like copy paste it and then put it place it over, it'll be like 6 or 7 Americas to go from Australia to South America. No, am I wrong about that? You get what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah, I've done the actual use the polar distance formula, which if the Earth were flat, you'd use the polar distance formula. If you were for some reason using polar coordinates, which I wouldn't necessarily make sense, but if you did, then but I mean, you could say it would be 8 times longer. That doesn't really help much, but help you.
No, well,
Yeah.
no, this is what I'm getting at. Because if you have a flight, now if you like wrap that around the ball though, and then you have it technically it should be no different than like when you're flying in the northern hemisphere from, like, let's say Los Angeles over to, let's say China, because you're on the, in your ball model, like you're on the north part of it, so it should be a shorter flight, right? The same way it should be shorter on the bottom, right?
Yeah,
because it's a ball.
There's
shorter
flights.
ball.
There's flights in the northern hemisphere that are approximately the same distance.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So then why then do some of these flights, like, why are they going over parts of the world that make no sense as to why they would be flying over that part of the world?
Well,
If it's a ball, like, why does the trip from South America that's going to Africa, like, why is it like hitting like the Middle East? Like, what's up with that? Like,
because it's not.
oh, it doesn't do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sydney to Santiago doesn't go across. It doesn't cross the equator. The direct route does not.
Oh, there is a direct route.
Yeah.
No, there's not a direct route.
Flight QF-27. It exists.
Oh,
What?
is that the one that you're saying that you wanted to go fly with somebody on there?
That $15,000 one way does not exist. It's just merely a ploy. But like I said,
all right, well,
I'm not going to
just for
argue
your-
that it doesn't exist. But at the end of the day, they're not going to take a flight from Sydney to Santiago because there's too much risk.
Well, right there, I just posted in an actual receipt from a flight. QF-27. There you go. Somebody took it.
Is that the one? Is that the one that you're saying you want to take, and you got lawyers involved and stuff?
Yeah.
And then it says not good for passage.
Yeah, that's not the actual one that they use for passengers. That's the one that he kept.
So you're showing me a receipt that says not good for passage. So I can't take that receipt and go on and fly.
Of course
because
not.
it's
He's
good for
already
passage.
flown the flight from 1998.
No, because that was already printed into the fake
Yeah,
receipt.
it's the bottom page of it. So, yeah, that flight really exists. There are videos of people on the flight. Max Egan, who was a flat earther, took the flight. You can go book the flight, and I have $10,000 waiting for anybody that wants to test it. Well, not anyone, specifically 4 people. But hey, if somebody else wants to volunteer to take my challenge, I would entertain the idea. But for
Do you have
reference,
Jim muted, McToon? Do you have Jim muted because he's talking and you're like talking over?
oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not.
Jim shouldn't be talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when-
you shouldn't be interrupting. Like,
Yeah.
he can come in at the end if you'd like to, but we're gonna let everyone
All right.
get
Yeah.
out first.
Yeah, I'll unmute him when we like open it up.
So then why don't they go like directly over, like, if you're gonna take the shortest path, right? Like, kind of like the reason why if you fly from like let's say like Washington and you're gonna go, like, let's say to China, like typically they just like fly kind of north, like relatively, like they're going straight across because it makes sense. So then why not in the south? Why don't they just go straight across in the bottom? Why
They do.
is it like there's
They literally
they
do.
fly over Antarctica?
I'm literally telling you that they literally do. So flight QF-27, I just posted the Great Circle route.
No,
goes-
you did not post nothing because I've been flying for decades. And I do know that when your tickets, you get one full ticket. Half of it gets ripped off. That's for the flight. And the other part is for your record. So for you to show me one full ticket that says not for passage, I'm sorry to say, I don't believe your evidence.
Okay, well, I don't care that you don't believe it. I mean, it's right there. It's Clive Davis flew it from Johannesburg to Sydney. It's
You
actually
say
QF-60. Yeah.
everything you say and do must be empirical, but everything I say and I know through facts because I fly about 40 times a year. I've never seen a ticket that did not rip in half.
Okay,
Never
well,
have I ever seen a ticket that
did-
did not rip in half where it said not good for passage on one side, and then the other side sits there and says your trip and everything and your costs.
All right, well,
Because one side is for you for your own personal receipt, the other side
Yeah.
is for the
so you're deeply familiar with how Qantas did their ticketing in 1998?
well, I flew a lot in the 90s.
Did you fly Qantas in 1998?
Well, I know the general ticketing system in 1990s, yes.
But you did not
And
fly
that's-
Qantas,
and
or you
that
did
is
fly
not-
Qantas? You're
And
evading
that
the
is not
question.
a general.
Yes,
that
yes
is
or
not
no?
a general ticketing because general ticketing is like worldwide. We all
Oh.
work off the same 4 flights.
There's only 4 flights?
All
mean?
airlines work off the same flight or ticketing system.
They do? In 1998, they all did?
Because it's basically 2 or 3 companies that write the software for it.
Yeah. Well, Qantas in 1998, you're deeply familiar with them, so that you can actually be speaking from a position of confidence. Is that right? Or
No,
no?
I'm speaking of confidence through my own experiences, not through Qantas
okay.
personally, but
Okay.
through
Okay.
another 50 airlines.
All right. So it contradicts your
50
pre-selected conclusion.
airlines-
Therefore, it
no,
must be fake.
It's not. No, see, so everything you say is empirical, but everything I say is just malarkey.
True. I agree.
Hey, McToon. So you want to make that flight, or you have made that flight?
I have not personally made it, but Clive
No,
Davis.
so he
Clive Davis
not
has.
personally made it, and he's just believing some other guy that showed him this piece of paper that said "not for passage."
Yeah. So the way that you falsify things is by actually falsifying things. Science loves falsification because it's good at that. So if you think that it's not true, what you do is you try to falsify it. You don't falsify it by saying "nuh-uh." You falsify it by testing it. Oh dear.
So the direct flight.
You don't want to see
Hit it.
that. Don Pettit,
see what?
don't look at what Carnivore just posted. You won't like that. Dang, that's gonna hurt.
What did he just post?
He posted another flight ticket that looks the same.
From September 1993.
Yeah, so it looks similar. It's only a few years different. Oh my goodness.
Where is the original passage ticket?
It was handed in when they checked in. You don't keep it, you give it to them.
The original passage ticket does not get handed in.
Okay.
I keep my original passage tickets. Every single time I fly, I keep my original passage ticket. Because that's the receipt and the passage ticket.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, Professor Phil says you might be confusing tickets with boarding passes. I don't know. So all right, well, tell you what, Don Pettit, you get $10,000. You get a lawyer. We'll go, you and me. I already have the $10,000 in escrow. Right, we'll go down to Sydney. You want to go to, I'd prefer Johannesburg because I don't speak Spanish. So Johannesburg, they speak English. Sydney to Johannesburg. You want to do it?
And what are we proving?
Well, if the flight exists, I win. So I get your $10,000. And if after a week, this is the offer I did in the video a while ago. If after a week of cancellations, that it doesn't exist, or if when we get on the flight it crosses the equator, you get the $10,000.
That's actually a good challenge. That'd be cool. I wish I had the money. I'd do it just to fucking take the flight. To be honest, get the fuck out of here.
Well, the flight exists. I know the flight exists. But does it fly where it says it's flying? Is the other argument.
Okay, so you're happy to admit that the flight exists all of a sudden. You changed. You didn't.
Right.
It didn't exist
no,
before.
I have not changed.
Then,
No,
it didn't exist.
I said it existed, but no one's going to take it.
Why would no one take it? Thousands of people have taken it.
Yeah, that'll
Thousands.
be
It's like 5 times a week it's flown.
okay. So if you get on that plane,
So you've shown me receipts that are not receipts from 30 years ago.
Okay.
Or 23 years ago, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So McToon, if you get on that flight, it's going to be a really what's the time that they say that it's going to take from one point to another?
It's somewhere between 12 and 14 hours to go between Sydney and Santiago. And I think it's about the same to go between Sydney and Johannesburg. So
And that's a direct path, right?
It's a direct flight. It goes both of them go south. Their latitude gets farther south towards the middle of the flight.
And they don't fly over any other land at that point?
For the most part, they do not. Yeah, once here's one that was actually from a GPS tracker that went between Sydney and Johannesburg. So I just put that in there. So that was a GPS tracker, then plotted out on a visualizer there. So
that curve in the flight to make it look like it's around Earth, right?
yeah, well, it's a generally a straight
like smiley face.
Yeah, it's generally a straight flight when it's on a when you look at it.
Chad would have fun with this picture. I like Chad. He's funny.
So that's the actual GPS data logger points that's put onto a projection map. So.
Well, it's not actually accurate because it would have been a straight line.
Yeah, it's a projection. Did you miss that part? I said it's a projection map.
Yeah, I must have missed that projection part because it's all just theory to me anymore.
Yeah. So I'll show you what it looks like. Here's
projection is just theory, right?
Here you go. Here's what it looks like. The Sydney to Santiago one. Here's what the Sydney to Santiago one looks like on a globe.
Is that
there.
the shortest path they could take? Is that the shortest path they could take?
Yes. Yeah. Great
is
circle.
That what you're showing?
A great circle route is the shortest path between any 2 points on the surface of a sphere.
So essentially, the whole flight you're over water, right? There's no land ever beneath you.
Correct.
Yeah, and that would never happen. That would never happen.
Well,
sorry, there's too much liability in it.
$10,000 ready for you. I have $10,000 ready.
Liability. Good. They need land to.
All right. Are you going to take it, Don? You fly 40 times a year, so you're familiar with it.
Yes, I do. You fly 40 times a year.
Get
and
that
they
10 grand.
Usually stick to land.
Get the
and
10
they
grand.
Stick to land. Why?
All right. Put your money where your mouth
They
is.
usually stick to land, McToon.
Put your
Why
money
do
where
they
your mouth
usually
is.
stick to land?
Put your money where your mouth is, Don.
They have to be within a certain distance of airports. That can be like 300 minutes away.
Emergencies, they don't want to kill 300 people. That's right. Santiago to Australia, they only have like 5 people because that's only the 5 people that can afford a fucking $10,000-$15,000 ticket.
All right. So
that was one of my questions, McToon. Why is that flight like so like oh my gosh, I'm at a lost for words as I open up my next beer. Why is it so like it's disgusting? Why would they charge so much money for something like, for instance, if you were to fly even farther than that, like let's say from like South America to like China, and then like let's say that flight's like 32 hours or whatever, maybe because you have some layovers or whatever, but even still, like that ticket will never cost that much flying from like South America to China. Why is it so like grotesquely more? Like,
well,
why?
I can't comment on the economics of how different airlines choose how much they charge for different amounts, different flights, but it probably has a lot to do with demand, fuel prices, routes, the types of planes that they have to do, that kind of stuff. So none of these excuses that you're trying to cling to actually mean that the flight doesn't exist. And clearly Don is not willing to put his money where his mouth is.
Well, it has nothing to do with demand because I know for a fact that the government pays for flights to fly into islands. Like there's supplements for all airlines. to ensure that mail, services, and products get to their areas.
All right, so that has nothing to do with whether or not that flight exists and whether or not that flight takes the route that it takes. So
because why would somebody be flying a jet 14 hours when I can buy a 14-hour flight? It costs me $250, and then they're trying to charge $15,000.
That's great for the red flag.
It doesn't change the fact that the flight exists and the route that it takes. These are just diversions.
Yeah, it does.
These are clearly you trying to divert from the fact that you're not confident enough to put $10,000 on the line like I am.
I can put on paper that the Earth is concave, and that's fact because I've put it on paper.
No. Here, I'm asking you. I'm asking you to back up your words. To back up your words. I have $10,000 ready. If that flight doesn't exist, or if it crosses the equator, you get my $10,000. Are you willing to do it?
That's the difference between me and you.
I take that you're not
smart enough to
the
know
difference is that I have the courage of my convictions and you don't.
Hey,
that's the difference.
Just because,
McToon, if I had the money, I would do it.
Thank you for that.
But I would honestly do it just if I had the money. So like, if you guys want to like, go fund it, let's do this. Let's do this, guys. I will literally go and have a beer with McToon. I'll drink him. Wait, you don't drink, huh?
Oh no, I don't like beer. I do like
funding the beer.
My favorite is Irish cream, so I'll have a pint of Irish cream.
All right.
Yeah, if Apocryphon gets funding, he's just gonna drink it. Everyone knows that.
So all right, so in my live chat,
slush fund.
Here, just to be clear here, in my live chat, Virillion did a price search for that for one of those two flights. I'm not certain which. 2,800 Australian dollars. Darian Powers said the same thing. Round trip 2,400 Australian. So there you go. Oh, here we have one.
Come on,
Micah Ray says nonstop Sydney to Johannesburg 1798. So under $2,000. Where do they keep getting the 15,000 from? So not a bad flight. So of course that would have to be outside of the 10,000.
I'm going to use Expedia because they have really good prices.
Yeah.
Let me see what it is.
No, don't try to book it for tomorrow. Book it for next week or something. Sometimes people try to book the one that's in the air currently.
Where are you from? Let me see. Sydney. Okay, Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, it's got to be at least 14 days.
Yeah, do nonstop.
Going to... Where are we going? Sicily?
Johannesburg?
Johannesburg.
Okay. Santiago, right? Chile?
That either one, yeah.
Okay. Oh no, you said Johannesburg. I'll just put Johannesburg.
It doesn't matter too much.
Wait, Johannesburg, South Africa.
That's right.
You want to go there?
We can say hi to Flatzoid.
Dude, that is... I don't know, man.
Who are you backing for top left?
What?
Who are you backing for top left? Is it Flatzoid? Because I'm backing Flatzoid. But I think. Do you know CC from Westchester County?
No, I don't.
No, he's winning. Last I checked.
Wait, my bad. I put round trip. I should just put one way, huh? Yeah. So round trip is 11:58. There's 5 tickets left.
All right, there you go.
But I do want to look at. There is. It's 43 hours though.
Exactly.
Get nonstop.
Do somewhere else than Santiago.
Yeah, do nonstop. You have to do nonstop.
Let me go. I'm like, holy fuck! I don't want to like leave on Tuesday and arrive on fucking Saturday.
There you go. So Professor Phil Bell just dropped into the chat there, nonstop. From Sydney to Santiago for 47.33. That's round trip.
It doesn't let me even pick.
A minute. No, I'm looking at it on the screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on. Let me see. Johannesburg. Okay.
I mean, the people just keep sending me crap. Like somebody just sent me one from LATAM Airlines 2777 for a flight between which one is that? That's Sydney to Santiago. So yeah, I mean, it's not hard to find. So I mean,
Yeah, but you're showing ones that are $5,000 or $7,000, right? But you're saying they're not
less than
10,000 or
2,000.
15,000.
Less than
But these
2,000.
are just initial fees. You've got your airport fees, you got your landing fees, you got your fuel surplus fees. That shit doubles.
This is
Who cares?
stupid.
This flight
because
exists.
The fact is, the flight exists. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It exists.
But,
Yeah,
but hold on though. Where are they finding
fake shit? The flight exists knowing that no one's going to take it because you're not going to pay $15,000 to go to Chile.
Where are they finding the
Sick of
nonstop?
fucking flight talk. Anyone? Does anyone talk about something else? That's just really good.
Where
It's
are
so
they?
fucking boring. I'm sorry.
Where are they talking about the?
Yeah, because
where are
it
they getting
destroys
the?
the flat Earth. That's why.
Yeah, I mean,
Where
you don't
are they
like
getting
it.
the?
You don't like it because
No, hold on,
I have the conviction to put $10,000 on the line and nobody else does.
But hold on though. Where are they getting the nonstops at? Everything I'm seeing it is 1 or 2 stops, and they're like 30-hour flights, 20-hour flights. Like, where's
Oh my
this
gosh.
You just have to know
14-hour
how to do it
nonstop?
right.
It's all fake, APOC. It's
For
all
somebody
fake.
that claims to fly as often as you do and you can't find it, my goodness.
It's all fake. No, because I'm not even worried about looking for it anymore because I've already looked for
Left-hand
it. It doesn't
side, there's a
happen.
box that says non.
Well, I guess
I mean, it's on
Expedia doesn't
screen
have
right
it.
now. I mean, on YouTube, people are looking at it. We're just kind of chuckling at your incredulity about
Expedia
it.
don't have it. Hold on. Let me. I'm gonna get out Expedia. They don't even have nonstop. I don't see anywhere on here where you could just click nonstop. So let me go use another one.
In this moment of silence, to be clear, it's not an open forum yet. To
Non-stop
be clear.
flights. Wow, it's really simple. Why can't flat earthers?
Hold on.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. Zorbots, stop it.
Yeah, that was Leal. You're not fooling me.
One way. Here we go. Sydney.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. This is on Flight Center, and center is spelled CENTRE. Flightcentre.com.au has this one here, 4733 Sydney to Santiago round trip. So just over 2,000 per leg, 2,315, 316 per. So
Where? I don't get it. Where's the nonstop? I don't see the features on any of the. I'm on Priceline now. Where's the nonstop? Where's the direct flight?
the number of people that have now sent me DMs with pictures of nonstop flights.
It's a special Globe Earth website.
Yeah, let me maybe Priceline and Expedia, maybe they don't allow nonstops on that
They
flight.
do. I did a video where I got a couple different ones of the major ones and clicking it in response to Mark Sargent's one of his very first videos where he said he couldn't find it. I'm like, you just need to click this button right here. It says nonstop.
But where's the non? Okay, help me out. Let me share my screen.
Oh my gosh!
And then you tell me where the nonstop is. I'm literally going to do this because I honestly, I'm trying to walk down that path with you, McToon, and give you the benefit of the doubt. But show me where you would click nonstop. Go ahead.
So there.
Show me the money.
So there's another one. Let's see. Sydney to Santiago, posted by Space Potato. And are you? All right, you. Let me look.
Look at my screen.
Hold on. Let me see.
Tell me where do I do nonstop?
All right, I'm pulling your screen.
I have
up.
one way.
But you're on a phone?
That's almost like a wiki.
Oh my
search.
gosh!
Like you Google search the trip, and then you're trying to claim that as evidence. That's like a wiki search.
This is Priceline.
Find your flight right there. Yeah, you have to go through the steps.
Find my flight. Okay, find your flight. Okay, so where do we go to stops? Or maybe under stops. Oh,
there you go, nonstop.
Oh my, nonstop.
Sydney, Johannesburg.
So we got one. It's 14 hours and it's $16.79 for 14-hour flight.
There we go. Let's do it.
Dude, I want to. I need a GoFundMe, dude, because I want to do this now.
That's why it's that the GoFundMe is why I picked the more well-known flat earthers, right? Because they could do a GoFundMe for it, and you don't have a channel of 100,000 people to, So I mean that's not your fault or anything. It's just it's not as easy for you since you don't have that. All right, how do I get out of this? There we go.
If I had it, I'd go for sure.
Yeah, but Don Pettit won't. He doesn't have it. He's not interested.
100,000 people? Like, what's your channel? 18K?
My main one is 64,000.
Is it?
Yeah.
So you make fun of other people because they don't have 100,000 subscribers?
No, I wasn't making fun at all. The reason why I chose them was because
an insult to anybody that
no,
is,
let me explain.
a streamer.
I'll make it clear. The reason why I chose them is because I knew that they could do a GoFundMe, and I know that other people aren't as easily able to do a GoFundMe. That's why. But hey, if somebody else is like, I want to do it, then call me up and let's figure something out.
I need all your ballers to like just donate you money for my ticket. That way they could set me up.
Well,
I will do it with you, McToon, next year.
Next year?
And I will buy your ticket.
You'll buy my own? Goodness.
Yep. So we will go to Johannesburg and we will actually fly it.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Until next year, because my settlement comes in next year.
Your settlement?
Hey, I'm in the same boat. I'm waiting for a settlement too.
Wait, how do I get a settlement?
I need a settlement. I need it now.
Well, I'll tell you what. Go work really, really hard, and then damage your body doing so, and then you too can get a settlement.
Oh, all right. I don't.
Yes.
How do I? All right. So I'm looking at your live stream, Apocryphon. I don't know how to not look at your live stream. There's an X in the corner, but will that close the whole window?
The red X should say stop watching.
Here, I can just do this. Right?
Oh, there it is.
Stop
Okay,
sharing.
I got it.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well,
I was trying to see if it gave the mileage and like the details, but I couldn't find that. So.
No, there's other places that get that.
If the flight is like $4,000 round trip, I'll take it. But every single flight that I've ever tried to book has always been about 10 or 15K.
Well, this is one way. I didn't do a round trip.
In price during the world inflation, like, sure, I'll take the flight.
All right. So I feel like I've kind of monopolized the time here. Don, you've arrived. Maybe you have a positive claim about the shape of the Earth. Apocryphon kind of avoided it. So let's hear what you got.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a positive claim. I just claim that in my beliefs, I don't believe the globe. I don't believe that they are actually, because it's all theory, right? It's all theory. Your info is theory, and my info is theory. So we're both in the same boat here.
No. Mine is empirical. And like you said earlier, yours is bogus. You said it. You said mine is empirical and yours is bogus, and I agreed with you. Remember?
No, that was a satire.
Oh no, that was totally true. I'm taking that to the bank.
Well, you can take it to the bank. I don't know how much you're going to get with it, but okay.
All right, so you're doing the same thing as Apocryphon. You're like, well, I know I don't have evidence, so I'm not going to make any positive claims, right?
I have evidence. It's my own thought process.
It's not evidence.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because I'm actually quite intelligent. So yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Hey, don't jump in other people. It's not open yet.
Apparently, we are all scientists.
Oh god.
I mean, by the broad term of scientists, we can.
All scientists. Well, wasn't that what is what's his name said? We are all scientists.
What's his name? You're gonna have to be more specific.
The Globe Earth spokesperson.
There's no Globe Earth spokesperson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, see, at least one Globe actually admitted the truth.
Oh, Shane
Yeah,
St.
I'm a really
Pierre
good
is a glober. Shane, welcome back.
I'm a really
We've
good
been
glober.
waiting.
Tyson
We've
has
been
actually
waiting,
said it.
Shane.
And even Bill Nye, the idiot guy.
I can't disagree.
Bill Nye, the line guy with the bow tie, you mean?
Yeah, like he sat there and said, we live in a closed system. There's
All
no
right.
getting in, there's
All
no
right.
getting out. So how do you explain that?
I would say that Bill Nye was wrong. I don't agree with Bill Nye.
So you want to believe them when they talk what
No,
you want to believe in,
I-
then you call them a liar when you don't agree with what they have to say.
I generally don't like Bill Nye.
Well, he's one of your spokespersons.
No, he's not.
So
not at all.
Look at Don Pettit. Look at Don Pettit.
He's definitely
Don
not one of my
Pettit's
spokespersons.
One of your spokespersons.
No, he's not.
He's like a world-renowned astronaut that went to the moon and back.
So?
But suddenly they lost
wait.
that
Let's
technology
be
and
clear.
they're having troubles getting it back.
He never went to the moon. He didn't claim to go to the moon.
Sorry, the ISS.
He never said the moon. So
But
anyway,
they can't go past.
Okay.
None
None of this is evidence for anything. This is just incredulity.
Yes,
So
it is. Yes, it is evidence because you got your own people saying they can't do things that you're trying to
That's
say
not evidence.
they can do.
That's just somebody
That's
saying something.
evidence.
No, it's not.
No, it is not.
Evidence would be empirical. A test, a measurement. Somebody going and doing some experiment. Just some guy saying something isn't actually evidence.
Somebody telling me they went into a Porsche and couldn't drive 350 miles an hour, I'm probably going to believe them.
What's that have to do with
because
this
that's their own personal experience, and these guys are the ones that you double down on and say.
I never
is the
doubled down. Hold on.
evidence.
Don't put words in my mouth. I never said anything about any of them. I never referenced anything that they said as evidence.
Well, I'm talking about in general because you asked me about the flat Earth. You asked me about the round Earth.
But Mr. General isn't here. You've only got me.
Well, but McToon, I have a question for you. So, like, you're talking about like experiments, right?
Yes.
So what experiment were you like? Can you use in your realm to like measure the movement of the Earth at this point?
Measure the movement of the Earth. I would say it's superfluid helium inside of a toroid, and then they measured the movement of the fluid, the superfluid helium. I can send you that.
Where?
Yeah, I'll send.
Where
it.
is that?
Yeah, just a second.
Wait.
I'll send you
sorry.
that measurement.
What are we talking about? Superfluid helium?
Yeah. So helium at when it's cooled down to low enough temperature loses all of its viscosity. It's no viscosity. So it doesn't have friction. It doesn't have
into a liquid.
What's that?
A gas turns into a liquid.
Yes.
So what you're trying to explain?
No,
Yes.
it's not a liquid. It's a superfluid. Very different.
Well, it's a fluid. So it's a fluid is a liquid under.
All right, I'll link the article and then I'll link. There's two parts. So here's the article. Now that one you cannot download, but I do have the downloadable one. Let me grab that. So
okay, and how was this the measurement of the movement of or the rotation?
Yep.
How are you detecting the rotation at this point?
Yeah. So since it's superfluid, it does not have any viscosity, and so it doesn't have friction with the walls of the toroid. It's a donut that it's in.
Okay.
So then, so when that particular thing then moves, when it rotates, then it's not having any friction between the walls of the device and the helium. So movement then is it's able to conserve momentum when it rotates. So if the body of the toroid rotates, then the helium inside of it does not rotate. Right. So if you rotate the outer thing, like if you're on a rotating body, then you would be able to measure rotation of that moving body. So that's one way to do that.
But hold on though. Not to be like an asshole, right? But how is you looking? Okay, you're in a building that's been built by people, and now they have equipment that's been built by people, and then you're like setting up this experiment that's been theorized by people, but then all of a sudden, the thing that you're witnessing in this lab, you're saying this is what Earth is doing, because this is how we're measuring the spinning of Earth, even though like that it doesn't. That I don't know how you can like correlate that, to be honest, because how is looking at something in a box room representing the Earth around you? How is that like? I guess you could assume that this is what it is, and you have like this explanation. Like, look at, because we see it here in front of us, this is what it's doing on a bigger scale. Like, I don't know though how you correlate these. That's. I feel like you're just falling into a belief at that point, for sure.
So here's how you remember. I covered this earlier. You have a hypothesis. You then use that hypothesis to generate some predictions, and then you test those predictions by comparing to reality. So you have a hypothesis. The hypothesis being that the Earth is rotating, and then you say, well, how can we test that? What kind of a prediction can we make? Well, if we have a device where we have superfluid helium in it, and that superfluid helium, when the device around it rotates, the helium will not rotate. So let's test that, and we'll put a measurement device inside there to see if it measures any movement, any rotation.
But that's not okay. But again, that's not the Earth, though. That is. You're oh man, like, well, it's frustrating.
Since that device is sitting on the surface of the Earth and affixed to the surface of the Earth, then
helium is not sitting on the surface of the Earth. Sorry.
Superfluid helium is inside this toroid. So if you click on the actual paper and you look at the figure 1A, has a little,
what you're saying.
Has a diagram of what it's doing there. I'll put in the chat there.
I get what you're saying, McToon, but this is not. You're creating Earth in a little box. In the lab.
This isn't creating Earth.
Well, because you're saying this is the theory. This is why you're saying like this is how we come about to think that it's moving.
It's a measurement. It's a measurement.
If you have so does that? Can we go then to like Nixon Morley? Or Nicholson Morley, can we go to that? Like, are you gonna like not accept what he was doing because in his experiment, was it not trying to account?
Okay, wait,
or did he not find a movement?
Let's be clear, Apocryphon. You asked me specifically for how we can determine that the Earth rotates, and I gave you a specific thing for how the Earth rotates, and so that's what we're talking about. I'm glad to talk about something else if you have some evidence that you'd like to bring up after this particular one. I'd be glad to go after
we can go back this we can go ahead.
So the point is that, and you can think about this like if you have a bucket, all right, let's say you have a bucket, you put some water in the bucket, and you twist the bucket quick. The water inside the bucket it'll impart a little motion on it, but for the most part, most of the water will stay still when you just do a quick twist. Right. The reason why water, if you keep twisting, if you just keep rotating that, like if you put that bucket on top of
bro. I disagree with that.
Yeah, same here.
Who disagree? The water in the bucket would
I disagree with that.
Are you
branch?
I got it. Please. Continue, please.
So if you rotate it quickly and then stop rotating it, most of the water won't be spinning. If you put it on a turntable of some sort and you leave it there for a while, then all the water will eventually become rotating. But if that water had the properties of superfluid helium, then there would be no friction between the wall of the bucket and the fluid. And so you could put that on a turntable and that helium inside would not start spinning. That's the point of why you're using superfluid helium, because it doesn't have any viscosity.
So are you saying that they don't measure the movement?
No, I'm saying that they do measure them. The point is that the walls of the container don't impart movement on the liquid inside the container because it doesn't have any viscosity. So you put that in the container, in that toroid, in that donut, and then you set it on the surface of the earth, and then you see what happens. Does the wall of the container, if it moves, it cannot impart motion on the helium inside. So if you then do measure movement inside there, then you know that there's a differential between the wall of the container and the liquid inside the container.
Okay. So if we did do an experiment and we didn't get rotation, then would it be safe to say that there's no movement? If we did an experiment and we didn't find rotation, we didn't find movement.
Yeah, as long as that experiment is properly set up to measure rotation.
Okay.
Yeah,
So well, if you have this experiment and it's measured and you make sure, all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and then you don't get a moving rotational, result, then why do we just skip over that fact and be like, okay, but it's still moving, even though there was an experiment and it showed that there wasn't any movement?
You trying to change topics to a different thing here?
Nobody knows, honestly.
Well, okay, so I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not trying to.
People know.
I'm not trying to change topics.
Interrupted there, but people do know. So, yeah.
So no, I'm not trying to change the subject. I think it's going along with it because we're talking about rotation. Because you're the one that talked about a bucket swinging with water. I'm assuming that represents rotation, right?
Yeah, I didn't say swinging. I said spinning. Right? You put it on a turntable.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Spinning. Yeah. Okay. So if that it's safe to say that you're invoking rotation with that example, right? I'm sorry. Let me get into it. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, yes. That is a measurement of rotation.
Okay, so then if you did an experiment and it didn't show rotation, and then you had this, a result that there was no rotation, then why? How can you say there's rotation if the experiment itself
as long as that particular experiment you're thinking about was properly set up and could actually measure rotation? If it did not measure rotation, then that would be notable.
Okay, so then are you saying that there's not an experiment that does that, or is there one?
I'm unaware of any experiments that are designed and do properly measure rotation that have not measured rotation. Yeah, barring
rotation, because rotation does not exist.
But barring barring like some malfunction of the equipment, right? So if it wasn't plugged in, or there's something wrong, or it was broken, or something was drastically out of balance, for example, right? So the experiment has to be done well. Yeah.
Do you consider the orbit of your Earth, belief, your ball belief? Do you consider that orbit a rotation?
Orbit is generally not a rotation, though it can be in a very large sense. For the most part, it's mostly it's linear motion because it's the rotation is on the order of an entire year, so it's very, very slow rotation. So you have to you'd use other things to measure the actual magnitude of that orbit, right? The rotation part of it, but for the most part, it's linear motion.
Okay, so you're saying that there's linear motion, and that doesn't represent rotation? You're saying that linear motion is not the orbit linear motion? It doesn't equate to rotation in your world, or are you just kind of side, stepping that answer?
No, there are ways to measure the rotation portion of the orbit around our sun. Yes.
Okay, so then when you have these problems to where when you're trying to do an experiment and you're trying to calculate this orbit and rotation
measure
at the end of the day,
right? You mean measure?
Yeah. I'm sorry, measure. Yeah, you're right. So when you're trying to measure these things, at the end of the day, you are, no results because you couldn't measure for it because there was no results from it. Then how do you just ignore the fact that there was no measurement calculated? Or there was no movement or no rotation measured because that was the end result of your experiment.
The experiment that I cited, the superfluid helium, did definitely measure rotation.
No, not that one, because that one is talking about something in a lab. I'm talking about how are you going to do it for the Earth? You would have to, because if you're dealing with the rotation of the Earth, you can't go into a wall where you can't see the Earth even rotating itself. You can't go into a brick building and say, I'm going to study the rotation of the Earth, guys. Look into my box that I built, and I have a toroidal field and this little donut thing. And
why can't you do that? Why is that
because
not possible?
because that's not Earth. Because that is what that is.
Why is
so
that?
It's like,
why is that not possible? Because you're just saying it's not, but you don't actually have like
but it's not though. That's why I'm saying it, because it's not. You can't say that if I'm going to do like an experiment on plastic and I'm going to say this plastic is going to represent the still outside. No, those are two different things. The plastic is the plastic and the still is the still. But if I'm going to say that if I could replicate plastic to be like still, it's still plastic.
But what experiment am I talking about?
That was a really cool wordplay. Did you hear that? It's still plastic. No. Oh,
no,
I'm drunk.
Give me a second here. Well, McToon, you sat there and said, "Why is it not possible?"
Yeah, why?
Right?
You're just saying it can't.
So,
okay.
If it was possible, then we could explain your theory.
We can.
But since it's not possible, we can't explain.
But
your
we can't
theory.
explain the theory.
So the argument that I think APOC is making is the fact that we can't do this experiment makes your theory impossible.
But we can. I mean, this experiment that I showed.
No, you can't.
Totally did.
You are trying to make an argument that helium is on our surface.
No, I'm trying to. I'm explaining that you can use helium to measure the rotation
of the Earth. You said helium is on the surface of the Earth. The only person that I can see helium being on the surface of the Earth is you, because you sound like a little girl. I'm just kidding.
What the hell are you talking about? It's not really that difficult to get liquid helium.
It's not difficult to get liquid helium, but you said
many medical devices use liquid helium.
It's on the surface of our Earth. It's not on the surface of Earth. We know it's in the upper atmosphere. Helium.
It has nothing to do with this. You devise an experiment that properly is able to measure rotation using helium. That's it. That's what we're doing. It doesn't matter where you got the helium from.
No, I know, but that's the point, though. That's the point.
It's not a fluid, but could be a liquid, but not a liquid, right?
No, it's a fluid. It's a superfluid. It has particular characteristics.
So it's a fluid, but it's not a liquid.
McToon, I feel like this, honestly, McToon. I feel like in a world where science once mattered and was once really awesome and amazing, I feel like in that world, they would take this superfluid and they would find out all these cool things about it.
They did.
And then they would say, okay, that's superfluid. That's helium superfluid. But they would go on to the next thing. They wouldn't try, because in the fake pseudoscience that we live in today, that you're saying that they're going, okay, we're going to take this helium superfluid, and then guess what, guys? This is why the Earth is spinning, because this fluid right here is doing something crazy on this toroidal field. So this is why we're spinning.
No, it's not a field. It's inside a toroid.
Okay, it's inside a toroid. It's inside of it.
And there's only one state of matter that equals liquid, so it can't be a fluid. It can't be plasma. Nothing can be nothing, and we're all just sitting here making imaginary states of matter.
Yeah,
it's not.
Look at
it's not imaginary. Superfluid helium is real. It actually exists.
No, I'm not saying.
So that's just basically you're trying to tell me it's extra thick fluid. So a superfluid is just extra thick fluid.
No, it's the opposite.
Or extra thin fluid.
It's got no viscosity.
Can I say something?
Well, it would have to have viscosity against some kind of matter.
No, that's the point. Superfluid helium has no viscosity.
So plasma has no viscosity either, right?
Blood plasma?
Yeah, but this is really cold.
Like
No, well, plasma is superheated, and
the fourth state of matter. Yes, that does have viscosity though.
Or magic fluid is super cold, right?
So plasma does have viscosity though, but superfluid helium does
so
not.
it's like liquid then,
What's
or
that?
it's a fluid. So I don't know what you're trying to explain here, a fluid or a liquid, because pretty much they are literally the same to me.
All right,
A
I
fluid
really
and a
don't care about your
liquid, it's-
denialism. Superfluid helium
Hey,
exists. That's a. Go ahead, die on that hill. All
And
right.
McToon, it says Earth's rotation. It doesn't say Earth's spin. Like,
Well, he
it
said
could be the sky rotating. You know?
the Earth doesn't rotate; it orbits. Like you're
Well,
trying
it
to
both. It does
thread
both.
needles with straws. Like, come on, like it orbits. It's a rotation. I'm sorry to say.
Here, let's wait in 10 Demon Stride in 10 minutes. Let's finish this in 10 minutes. We can open it up then. How about that?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you know the
Sounds
difference
good.
between a day and a year?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
No,
360.
I mean that's this other guy.
Who?
Yeah, 365.
Wait, who's talking?
I don't know.
All right.
Don Petty.
If you're not, look, 10 minutes. 10 minutes, free for all. All right. Just wait another 10 minutes, people. If you're not, not Apocryphon or Don Pettit,
just real quick, McToon. So you have this a superfluid helium, and somebody told you, and then somebody reported. I'm sorry, somebody didn't tell you. You read it through a report of which somebody actually was given that privilege to witness this person creating this thing in a lab, and then somehow these words came into your ear, and you're like eureka, the earth is spinning, because this guy, he took this superfluid helium and made it do what it did. And my point is that this is unfortunately today's science, to where you can take a fluid, a superfluid, and then because the way it reacts in a lab, you then take that next leap and say, this is why the earth is spinning. And those two things literally have nothing to do with one another, because the superfluid and its properties and the way it reacts has nothing to do with anything moving or spinning or orbiting or rotating. It's just what it does in that toroidal field. That's it. That's what it does. But in today's world, this is the new science, by the way, McToon. The new science of today, it takes really basic, beautiful observations and understandings and theories and conclusions, and then they just leap them over into a pseudo world. And this is the world that you live in. We all live in, I guess, technically.
All right. Well, enough of your incredulity. That's all you have is right. So have a look at that. Have a look at that and see if you can if there's anything in there that you actually can want to refute or deal. And I know right now not on the fly, you can't look at it. I don't expect that you do it.
No, I read it. I actually read it.
So well, anyway, just have a look, and if you actually have a refutation, I'd love to hear it. So far, it's just incredulity. So far,
But are you sure though? Are you sure that, or is that just a buzzword to where you take someone speaking truth and shut them the fuck down? I would say the latter. I would say that's what it is, because you can just bark incredulity only because I'm speaking too much truth to you right now, because I'm telling you that the system we live in, it takes these certain concepts and then they just quantum leap them over to a whole nother thing, and they're saying this is why it's represented. So this helium superfluid. Oh, one day you're gonna ask a child, "Hey, do you know how the Earth is rotating?" He's gonna be like, "Yeah, because of superfluid helium." Like, come on, bro.
Apocryphon. Let me be clear.
Up.
Let me be clear. I gave you one. That's just one, right? There's many different measurements of Earth's rotation. That's just one of them. I chose one because during this conversation, I'm not gonna go over a whole bunch of them. Just one, right? You specifically asked me a question. How do I know that the Earth is rotating? I chose one of the 14 that I have listed, and that's the one I chose. So,
okay. So what about fringe shift? Is that something that you want to talk about or discuss?
Sure. Michelson-Gale Pearson is a fantastic experiment.
Okay. So you're saying that. So then how are you going to, come to that conclusion if you're not getting this rotation to begin with.
But Michelson, Gale, Pearson did measure rotation.
Oh, because no, they just used the assumed velocity, the orbital velocity. They assumed it, right?
No, it wasn't about orbit. It was about rotation.
Okay, so you would have to account for rotation, of course.
No, you don't. Not Michelson, Gale. They didn't have to.
Well, but then how can you predict the fringe shift then? If you're not counting for
you don't
rotation,
predict it, you measure it.
Oh, so now they're measuring it.
Yeah, they measured the fringe shift.
We started with earlier. We started that they measured and they found no measurement.
No, it didn't.
They measured for rotation and there was no measurement found.
No, and
there was no rotation found.
In Michelson, Gale, Pearson, or just Michelson, Gale, they definitely measured rotation. Here, I'll read the conclusion. I'll read the conclusion.
No,
the displacement of the. Hold on. I'll read the actual.
I'll be honest with you, McToon. I'll be honest with you. I was sent a message last night or this morning. I don't even know. I was so drunk, but I got it, and I actually like looked into it, and I read like a little bit of the article and stuff, and I was reading it. And this entire time that I've been talking to you, I forgot to even bring it up. But now that you got me all wound up, I remembered, and then I remembered that what I was looking up earlier, and it was about the Mixon-Morley experiment
But I was talking about Michelson, Gale.
Oh, okay.
Different
go ahead.
I'll
leave it.
Because you were talking about rotation. So when you talk about rotation, Michelson, Gale was a measurement of rotation. I'll read the conclusion. The displacement, and I mean, you wanted to talk about interferometers, so that's what this is. The displacement of the fringes due to Earth's rotation was measured on many different days, with completed readjustments of the mirrors, with the reflected image sometimes to the right and sometimes on the left of the transmitted image, and by different observers. They did this near Chicago at 41 degrees north. And 46 minutes. So it's actually close to Midway Airport, I believe. It was done in 1925.
1925. So it was done after the Mixon-Morley experiment.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So then you're saying that if we were to look in a paper, and somebody told you that it was based off of an assumed rotation.
No.
Like that word assumed is very heavy.
It's not based off an assumed rotation. It's a measurement of the rotation.
But no, it's an assumed measurement.
No, it's a measurement.
Like
just a measurement, just a plain old measurement, not an assumed measurement.
It's a measurement of an assumed rotation. So in other words, like you have a lot of times, like, you know, ballers, they'll get in here and they'll talk a lot about how we know this for a fact, but then if you really dig into it, you'll realize that, well, it is what we are saying it is to be fact. So it's an assumption that this is fact, and only your belief personally is what makes it a fact.
But no, not in this particular one. This one's just a measurement of rotation.
But we know that science isn't proving anything, right? We know that science doesn't do that. Your belief is what stamps it as proof. Your personal belief.
No, this is just a measurement of the Earth's rotation. I mean, there's a whole lot of words. You're kind of on this soapbox now, but all this is a measurement of the rotation of the Earth. Using what you wanted to talk about interferometers, right. And so I did. Michelson Gale is an interferometer.
Okay.
And they measure the rotation of the Earth with it.
But that was after the Mixon-Morley experiment, to where they didn't pick up measure rotation, correct?
Michelson-Morley was not designed to measure rotation.
What do you mean?
I mean,
wait, hold on.
Michelson-Morley was not designed to measure rotation. That's not its intention.
It wasn't. Hold on. It wasn't. Okay, so in other words, you're right. He was trying to prove, one thing, but in that experiment, they realized that they couldn't pick up a movement or a measurement. No motion was detected in that theory. So I get what you're saying. You're like, that's not what they set out to be. Okay, you're right.
Let me just say this. Look, if you're going to try to take a Witsit approach to this, you should probably spend a little more time reading up or listening to his statements that he says, because I know what you're trying to do, but Witsit is going to be a little sad because you missed all of his talking points.
I know. I so horribly. I'm destroying. Like I get it, but I did look into it. Like I wasn't just arrogant, just like I was just gonna let me just read his fucking what mimic whatever he's gonna say. No, I actually looked into it because I didn't want to I didn't want to be completely like just lost. So I did look into it. Like that's something that was very interesting, by the way. There's a lot of other stuff that I learned too that I didn't know. But looking into it, if there is motion that wasn't detected, then why do we bypass like that fact?
Yeah,
like why
right.
do we just
I'll
put a
explain
blind eye
it.
to it?
I'll explain it, and then we're gonna have to open it up.
Here, Morley did not set out
gosh.
to prove there was no rotation or movement. He accidentally discovered it through his experiment.
Exactly.
Right.
So like
well,
he was looking for one thing,
Hold
and
on.
then
Hey, you two, you got to give me a chance. I
go
let
ahead,
you
sorry,
go.
sorry.
You went for a
I
long
was
time.
just trying to explain
you're
what
right.
Ed was trying to say, and I didn't think he was getting it across, was the fact that he did not set out to prove the Earth was not in rotation, but in his experiments he actually proved it.
All right. Well, let's go over this just here. So the Michelson-Morley experiment, the actual name of it is on the relative motion of the Earth and the luminiferous ether, and they thought that the ether existed, and that the motion of the Earth would cause the the light to take a different amount of time traveling towards the motion versus along, not towards the motion. And then, so they sent down two paths, the light, and when they recombined it, they expected that the ether and the Earth moving through the ether would cause the light to then have a displacement, but they found that there wasn't. And in the experiments since then are billions of times more sensitive. They've confirmed that there is no measured fringe shift on that. So that brought up a couple possibilities. One is the one that Einstein went with, is that the ether doesn't exist and that there's a different way that light moves. Other people have proposed that the ether still exists and that the Earth is stationary and that the ether is stationary, right? And I'm going to guess that that's your position, right? Ether stationary, Earth stationary. Can you confirm that before I go farther?
Are you asking me or someone else? I'm sorry.
Either you or Don. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
So Earth stationary, ether stationary, right?
Yeah. I get
okay.
You.
Then in 1925, they did a different type rectangle where rather than going down kind of an L-shaped path, it went around a rectangle. And the light paths went opposite directions around the rectangle. Now, and they did measure a fringe shift, and that fringe shift was, in subsequent experiments, is directly proportional to the latitude of the where they do that experiment. So now, if you go with yours, where Earth stationary, ether stationary, like you did with Michelson-Morley, now we get to Michelson-Gale, where you say Earth stationary, ether what? There's a rotation measured. So what's the ether doing for Michelson-Gale?
Was that rhetorical, or you're actually asking us for a response?
Because you want to conclude from Michelson-Morley that Earth stationary, ether stationary. So what can you conclude from Michelson-Gale? Using your position.
Again, you're having somebody that's saying that this is what their discovery was, and they found it out to be this way or that way. I get it. It works on both sides of that coin. Like, there are arguments from both sides about it. But if you have an experiment that proved something was moving after somebody else like did something and it didn't prove that was moving, I would say like that's sus, bro. Like I don't know. Like if someone else didn't do it.
You didn't answer my very specific question.
And it actually proved the opposite of the movement. It actually proved the opposite, and many scientists sat there and said, "Yes, this proves that there is no rotation, or there is no movement."
Many scientists, name them.
Many.
Name.
Well, I'm going to
Name.
get back on you on that one, but I've got many flat Earth scientists that will actually
No.
refute.
You said at the
any
time.
round
At the time.
scientist.
So 1887 and
1880.
Let's go. 1887 and what? 1925. Let's go with that. Many scientists. All right.
Many.
You'll get back to me
There
on
was
that.
a lot more flat Earth scientists back then than there is now.
Yeah, super.
But that's because government pays
let's move on.
round
Let's move on. You're
scientists.
gonna have to get back to me with the name instead of that. But I asked a specific question. I'd like to hear the answer to it.
Many books. Why don't you
ask the question again?
All right.
Because you like to quote him a lot.
All right, hold on.
Ask the question again.
So the
Ask the question again.
The conclusion that you want to draw from Michelson Morley that you confirmed is that Earth stationary, ether stationary. And so what is the conclusion from Michelson Gale where they did measure a rotation?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know because if somebody what? Okay. If somebody says that they did have measurement recorded in their experiment, then it would be really cool to maybe recreate that. Maybe somebody else could, to
Michelson Gale.
Yeah.
Maybe
whatever he did.
Maybe somebody else could buy a ring laser gyroscope and test it. Maybe who could maybe do that?
Maybe you can't do that because you have the money. So if you did that, though, McToon, if you did that, what is it proving? What is
it's a measurement?
The 3-ring gyroscope laser?
Yeah.
What is that proving?
It's a measurement.
The measurement of what?
The rotation of the Earth.
The measurement of what?
Yeah, the measurement of the rotation of the Earth.
How though?
How?
Yeah.
So I may not explained it before, but I'll do it again. So you have an enclosed loop, and you split the light, and you send the light around both directions of the loop, and you recombine them back after they've gone through the loop. If while the device is while the light is going through the device, if that device rotates, then one of the paths is longer. It's a longer actual distance that it has to travel than the other direction because it's going the opposite direction. So when they get recombined back on the other side, there's that fringe shift. So,
but wait though. If this fringe shift you're talking about, you have something that's just standing still on the Earth. Like for instance, if I'm just standing still and not moving, how are you going to get any readings off of me? If I'm just let's take like a chair. You put a chair in the kitchen.
Yeah. Set the ring laser gyroscope on a chair. Okay.
It's not doing anything. It's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And now you're saying that it's going to calculate within itself.
No, measure
this fringe shift. I'm sorry, it'll measure a fringe shift because it's just sitting there. And somehow to you're going to say that it's going to pick up movement.
Yeah, well, if the hypothesis of the Earth rotating, right, then you create an experiment that will measure that, and so you set something on the surface of the Earth, and that is designed to measure rotation. If then it measures rotation, you say, we measured rotation.
That's not what they're designed for, though. No, but that's not what they're.
They're not.
No.
What are they designed for?
They're designed so that way your azimuth, elevation, and zenith. That's all they're designed for.
That's not what a ring laser gyroscope does, actually.
No. Actually, if you put them on a plane, all they're trying to do is to establish, in a grid, a horizontal grid. They want to make sure that when you tilt up, that it can actually calculate like where to make you horizontal still to the ground. No matter your position, if you go left, right, up, down, it's going to make sure that it's keeping that beautiful parallel line to the ground. That's all they do. That's all they do.
Actually, no. A ring laser gyroscope, a three-axis ring laser gyroscope, can measure rotation in 3 axes. That's all it does. Anything beyond that, you have to apply calculations to, which is fine.
No, dude. You can say that it does that, but that's what it does. You can say you invoke this falsehood that this is what they're doing, but that's not true. The only thing that these gyroscopes are doing is keeping something so that way they know their elevation and to make sure that they're straight.
So what
that
mechanism?
way they're not tilting.
All right, so to be clear, then, what mechanism does a ring laser gyroscope use to measure elevation?
What mechanism?
Yeah, you said a ring laser gyroscope measures elevation. How does it do that?
The instrument. Hold on. Actually, let me Google it, because I get what you're saying.
Okay.
But there's something that it works with. So first is like in a plane, there's multiple instruments they work together. So that way it knows the elevation and then it knows
just ring laser gyroscopes, because you said ring laser gyroscopes measure elevation. How do they measure elevation?
A gyroscope measures X, Y, and Z. We all know that.
All right.
But
I appreciate that you're
eliminate-
coming to Apocryphon's defense. Apocryphon,
Thank you. Yeah,
I was taunting you a little bit.
I'm so drunk right now.
I was taunting you.
Drunk right now.
Ring laser
You
gyroscopes
cannot
don't measure elevation.
Other forces. You cannot eliminate other forces through rotation only. There's a lot more forces like earthquakes, there's energy, there's all these other forces that are added into the atmosphere that you want to put this gyroscope onto the Earth.
Can you be
and
more
to measure
specific?
rotation.
Can you be more specific? How does energy
earthquakes.
affect it? Yeah, earthquake. How does an earthquake
Energy affects everything. Like
How,
it can
specifically?
forces on things that are weaker than it. It can put less forces on it, so it can move things that have a weaker force. So you cannot eliminate all
dude's not
forces
drunk,
when
he
you're
has no
trying
damn clue what
to
he's talking
measure
about.
rotation in the atmosphere. Like maybe in space where there are no other forces, because that's what you believe.
I'm just waiting. How is energy affected specifically?
You don't think
to
that?
to what magnitude?
Okay, take
what energy?
Take a knife.
Okay.
Stick it into a socket and let's see how far back you are thrown.
An energy
That's
knife?
energy.
That's
Right?
that's electricity.
energy.
Yeah. But how does that? Are you sticking a knife in a socket with the ring laser gyroscope attached to the knife?
No, but there are other forces.
Let's not do that. That's probably not a good idea.
No.
So what other forces? Be specific.
Because you're trying to eliminate all sources of energy based on grounding out yourself.
All right. Well, let's be very specific then. What energy? Hold on. What energy affects a ring laser gyroscope? Just be very specific.
You are very mistaken about what science is or what science was back in the 1800s.
Hold on, I'm sorry, you're diverting. Could you be very specific and tell me what energy affects a ring laser gyroscope?
You are asking me to prove myself. And in reality, what science is a person that has the science that is supposed to be proven must prove it constantly. Over and over again. The person that refutes it must be proven wrong. So therefore, you must prove me wrong. I don't have to prove you wrong.
Well, you've just described the opposite of what science actually does. Amazing. Good job.
And that's what science is. No, it's been through thousands and thousands of years.
The opposite of what science actually can do.
There's been many scientists that will sit there and say you've been proven wrong because I can prove you wrong. And that's the refuter.
Can I just give you a recommendation? A book called The Logic of Scientific Discovery by Popper. Go have a read on that. You might also look at some of the writings of A.J. Ayer after he moved on from logical positivism. He wrote a book on it, literally called Logical Positivism. Later in life, he's like, that was all wrong. So.
And what years were they written?
Both Popper and A.J. Ayers were mid last century. Yeah.
Mid last century, what, 1910, 1920?
Mid,
so 1950s?
Yeah, plus or minus, 20 years.
Oh, so you're talking about when the mainstream scientists were actually trying to change science?
Yeah,
Get me something back in the 1850s or 1750s.
What they discovered is that you can't actually do inductive proofs. They said that doesn't actually work. So they got rid of narrow Baconian inductivism. They said that doesn't you can't actually do things with that. You can't prove things with that. The idea of a strict proof like that doesn't exist. that was what came through the whole thing with the Vienna Circle, which AJ Ayers was part of, and that the first 2 chapters of the logic of scientific discovery that Popper talks about, and how logical positivism cannot do it either. Neither can inductivism. So.
Yeah, so you're trying to tell me that they changed the whole aspect of science from 1950.
What they did is they figured out
thousands of years. They figured out that no one would listen to you.
No, they figured out that you couldn't
change
actually inductively prove things.
Scientism to ensure that people would be indoctrinated.
Quite the opposite, in fact, because they figured out that you cannot logically induce things. It doesn't actually work. You never actually get to proof. When you do that, it doesn't work.
So, what you're telling me is you can't logically refute anything, so you must make sure
absolutely refute things.
What you're telling me is you can't logically
opposite
refute
of what you're trying to put in my mouth is what I'm saying.
So you must make that argument mute, so you don't have to refute it.
No, absolutely 100% the opposite of what you're trying to put in my mouth is what I'm saying.
No, because that was pre-1800s.
No,
or 1900s.
Here's
actually.
What science can test
What's
things.
going in your mouth?
And can refute things. Science is great at refuting things.
Science hasn't refuted anything since.
Yes, science
early
really easily does that.
Science has not refuted anything. It's all theory now.
No. I can refute flat Earth easily. The sun would never set. Refuted flat Earth. Easy. Done. But I come on here to tease you guys.
I don't mean to derail the conversation. I'm just curious. Do you believe that we landed on the moon?
Yeah, we definitely did.
No, we did not.
All right, you can go back to what you're talking about. I'm just
Well,
curious.
there's definitely evidence that we landed on the moon, but maybe it's time we open up this for
what is the evidence we landed on the moon? A Photoshop of an Earth that is 3 times smaller than what our moon actually is. Yeah, well, our moon is 3 times smaller than us, so our Earth would have been at least 9 times bigger in the picture. So you can't tell me the entire Earth would have been in the skyline of the moon. And that is absolute proven fact.
I would love to see you actually apply the angular size formula to that. Go ahead. Pop that in the chat there. So
because you guys haven't proved it. You guys haven't done the angular calculations to do it.
Actually,
you've got this little thumbnail in the backdrop with nothing to represent or reference from it.
Thumbnail in the backdrop. You say
it's the Earth, but we had to Photoshop it because we had to.
There was no Photoshop in the 60s and early 70s.
There was Photoshop. There was absolutely Photoshop in the 60s.
Really? Well, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's new information. I await your your inability to support your claim. And
they didn't have to fabricate images until the 90s when the internet was mainstream. We did have Photoshop in the 90s.
I could actually sit there and transfer you 10 gigabytes of data in 10 megabytes in the 60s.
What?
Oh yeah.
What does that mean?
You could wait. You could transfer 10 gigabytes in 10 megabytes. How?
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. How could you do that?
Look at the patents.
Actually, maybe it's not Photoshop. Like it wasn't a program like the way we know it today, but there was maybe like photo manipulation because obviously there's some photos to where and I've seen it before too. I'm sure everybody has too. There's photos to where the crosshairs that are usually over the pictures, there's some that are like behind because of the overlay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I know this is your first day of Moon Hoax Camp, but to look into that doesn't work well.
We have here
do I get a t-shirt at least?
So emotional. Like, stick to the facts, please. So much emotion.
What we have here is a problem is I'll sit there and say that, oh, well, I wrote down this note and stuck it up with Scotch tape on my wall. And they're like, oh, that's not Scotch tape. That was made by Bear.
Okay,
like,
whatever.
We all use specific words for things that we are used to, like Scotch tape. Scotch tape is not actually Scotch tape because it's an actual company that makes a sticky back tape.
Yeah, and there's no Scotch. There's no Scotch in it anyway.
What they're talking about when they say Scotch tape, right? So it's the same thing here. They are just trying to refute anything with illogical explanations.
All right.
Open yet?
So we're opening up. Even though it's open, can we just kind of have one person at a time so we don't have too much over talking?
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
About the it was about the ring laser gyroscope.
Yeah.
I'm probably not supposed to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. By now, everybody knows I work in a factory because I'm always on here talking about I'm at work, and I'm at work right now. We put gyroscopes in the guns that we mount on these military trucks. Like in my factory, when we put them on there, we have to hook them up to the computer, and they have to be calibrated to level with the earth, but they drift. Like these trucks that set for a while, if they set for a while, they have to be recalibrated. The military actively recalibrates these automatic leveling guns because they drift. And the drift is according to the drift of the earth. That's a known fact here.
No, they drift based on the atmosphere.
They drift according to the movement of the earth. It's a known fact here at the factory.
Okay,
they drift based on the atmosphere. They don't drift based on location.
Hold on. But what? Okay, so let me ask you like an honest question. Okay, where is their their original measurement? Like, so like if you turn it on, how do they know that they are on a spinning ball that's rotating and flying through space? How do they know that? What do they calculate from their original footprint of where they what would represent a drift that you speak about? Because if go ahead.
We know what level is. Okay, you start out, you set the guns at level. The computer knows what level is when you calibrate the settings on the computer after you build the truck. But if you set the truck somewhere like we do and you park them, and they sit in lines here out and back in the parking lot, we park them out back. After they set for a period of time, when we go back and fire them up, we have to recalibrate all of them, or the military guys does, the people that deals with the trucks. They all have to be recalibrated. It's something they have to do constantly to keep those self-leveling guns on those trucks.
Yeah, but what are those self-leveling guns on, and what is gyroscope on? Is it all on the same machine? Is it all on the same machine?
Well, they're so aggressive. They just
the
deny
machine
everything.
guns mounted on top of the truck.
No,
just all denial.
Yeah, but then the gyroscope would have to be on that machine.
It is. It's on the truck, and as the earth turns and the truck goes around,
you would be measuring the drift of the tires or shocks or springs. You would be measuring the difference.
It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there.
Assuming you have a line of them that were all manufactured around the same time, if you went and fired them all on, you would assume their guns would all point in the same direction. However, they'd be pointing the wrong direction. You have to recalibrate them, correct?
Yeah, when the military uses them and they're out in the field, they constantly have to count. They got a setting on them. It's real easy to do, but it recalibrates them back to zero, back to level, so that the computer knows what level is, and it's the way it's setting. And it's something that you have to do every so often because it gets out of whack, and it's the curving of the earth. That's what they tell us. That's what we have to do.
They tell you it's the curving of the earth, but where's the gyroscope placed on? Is it placed on the machine itself, like the vehicle? Because you're telling me that there's a gunner on a vehicle and there's a gyroscope that has to periodically reposition the gun itself, but so
correct. You're bouncing across the ground in the truck. The gun, also the gun will constantly.
So are you changing the?
So when you're firing it, it'll fire straight continuously, no matter how the truck is bouncing. The gun knows exactly what level is. But
it will not fire correctly because you are on 4 pillars. You're on 4 tires that have air in those tires.
What?
You are on 4 springs
Dude,
that have
the straws.
different
The
sets
straws are all gone.
of pressure. No, it's common sense. If you're tilting left
It's a
or
measurement.
right,
Measurements
it's going
trump
to
your claimed common sense.
It's going to throw your fire off. So you do have to recalculate your gunner every
your gunner. It's the computer, and for the most part,
and it's all software based. It's all software based, and you just make sure that the software base is correct with your machine itself. Look, I am a CNC machine operator. I am a millwright. I do know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about truing up a piece of equipment. I know what truing up a piece of equipment is all about. And you can't tell me you can true up a gunner on fucking 4 sets of tires that are full of air and springs and shocks.
Hold on. Is the claim, Don? Is the claim that they don't have guns on the back of trucks or whatever, and that they can accurately shoot these guns through?
No,
software?
you're talking about tanks.
That's not at
Like,
all what he said.
Yeah,
like you were talking about tanks, right?
What I'm talking about, no, they're rubber
like a
tired
Warthog,
vehicles.
like from Halo.
They have twin 50 caliber machine guns mounted on top of them. For the most part, the computer knows where you program in where it's at, what part of the earth it's on. It knows for the most part the curvature of the earth.
Oh, so you're talking about like 50,000 tons of concrete sitting on the ground with a gunner on top of it, right?
No, we're talking
Let me
about
explain and not interrupt. I'll
vehicle.
explain it to you.
I'm trying to understand. So you're saying there's a gun on 50,000 tons of concrete because I'm refuting your argument. You're sitting on 50 tons of concrete that is constantly sinking into the earth. Of course, it's going to have to be recalibrated every so often.
You're just making shit up.
No, I'm
not.
I don't know what it is, but it's not Earth curve.
You would have to recalibrate every second of every day. You have to recalibrate because the Earth.
It's just nachos.
From the
My wife made
argument is the Earth is rotating constantly, so you would have to constantly recalibrate.
You realize he's talking about guns that are mounted to the backs of vehicles, right? Like that is what we're talking about.
I just made that argument about vehicles, but suddenly shocks and springs and tires didn't make sense.
It's measuring rotation. Shocks and springs aren't going to change the rotation.
Yes, so there's 4 shocks or springs on each vehicle, right?
Yeah, so what's that have to do with it?
And both or all 4 of them don't necessarily sit at the same height at all times.
It has nothing to do with the rotation that the device is measuring.
For the other. Have you ever had to sit there and change your back struts in your vehicle?
It has nothing to do with measuring rotation.
It was sagging. Because sagging on the back will alter your firing rate or alter your firing range wherever you want. Yes, it does. It changes everything. The pressure of your tires changes.
But I'm saying that was to the calibration of level. Like that has nothing to do with your calibration of level. Over time,
so you
level will change.
So,
dude,
so
you're really worked up, man.
Of your calculations.
Calm down a little here.
You minus that in your calculations. No, you only include the rotation of the Earth, or so from what they want to tell you. It is the rotation of the Earth. Because it's not the rotation of the Earth, it's just the way the vehicle is sitting at any given time. They must sit there and level out the vehicle totally. So they have to sit there and level out your gunner according to the way your wheels sit.
How do you know? How do you know that?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Why are you trying to tell
It's measuring rotation.
Yeah.
Why do you think it has something to do with something else?
Hang on, guys.
Measuring rotation of your wheels.
Hang on, guys. Hold on. Who was speaking? Who was the one who's actually worked on those vehicles? Which one was that?
That was Coal Mining Man. Is the guy who actually knows what he's talking about?
I don't know what I'm talking about when we've actually made bombs and nuclear bombs for the U.S. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You made
when
nuclear
I'm-
bombs.
I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm an actual licensed millwright. So yes, I
sounds
do
emotional
know what
to me.
I'm talking about.
Oh, stop.
No, I do know what I'm talking about.
Is it your Don?
I've got 7 tickets, so I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to yes.
Certainly not.
Apparently, I do. Sky, see, I've got 7 tickets. Plus, I was a CEO of 5 companies. So don't tell me what I do know and I don't know, because I do know that you must true out a machine on the ground. You have to, no matter what. And if you have struts or shocks or tires, you have to true that out a week or so. Every week or so.
All right, I'm done eating the nachos.
Sorry,
They were very good.
Okay, Don, is it your contention that those machine guns cannot hit a target properly if that what are you going to call it? It's not a tank, but what do you call them, Comar?
JLTV.
LTVs. Okay. Is it your contention that JLTV cannot hit its target if it's bouncing around, running across dunes, airborne for times, and hitting the ground, that it won't hit its target? Is that your contention?
That's software based.
Are you saying that it
not
can't be
my
done or
question.
that it doesn't?
No,
And
it can be done, but it's not done manually.
Okay.
So
Can I answer? Can I say something real quick? Then I'll mute. All I want to do is just say what I want to say, and then I'll mute because I gotta get back to work.
hold on a second. How long do you got here, MC Tune? To
at least another half an hour.
I just want like 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
And that way I can just say what I was wanting to say. All it does is it has to know where level is at, so as it's going, it can constantly keep the barrels pointing at the same point. If you point it anywhere at anything, the computer has to know where level is at and where the truck is at. And it does that by when you first calibrate it, it bases everything on that calibration of level where it's at. But over a period of a couple weeks, it gets off, and it apparently, from what they tell us, it's hard for the computer to always be dead on accurate enough to make a bullet hit something. That's why you have to recalibrate it, but it gets off due to the curvature of the Earth and the Earth's spin. That's why we have to recalibrate. In the field, they constantly have to do that.
And I'm not disputing that part of your argument, Cole. Yes, they do always have to be recalibrated. But the reason why they have to be recalibrated is not because of the rotation of the Earth, but the position of the vehicle.
How do you know that?
Because I know it.
Because he knows everything, people. He was the CEO of 5 companies. Hey, if he was the CEO of 5 companies, he definitely knows this. People. Listen to his credentials, people.
Every single time that I went in to do CNC or to do my mill writing, I had to recalibrate the machine. Why? Because everything
We're talking about
drifts.
this specific piece of equipment, though. Not what you worked on. This specific piece of equipment.
Gears drift, shocks drift, pressure drifts, everything drifts. And you're trying to tell me that the rotation of the Earth is the reason why they recalibrate gunners on vehicles, but then the pressure of a tire doesn't make
I feel like
any
I'm
kind-
listening to Alex Jones.
Well, no, you guys are acting stupid because of the fact you're not even sitting there saying that
That sounds
a
emotional to me.
tire pressure difference does cost more in gas.
Listen,
You're trying to tell me
he was the CEO of 5 companies. He's told you can't question that.
You're trying to sit there and tell me that a pressure tire or a tire pressure difference doesn't cost more in gas. You're trying to tell me that?
We're telling you that you can tire pressure.
Then it must
tire
have
pressure
changed
difference will make
the
no
vehicle.
difference to this.
So then it must have changed the vehicle. Just like it has to change.
Hey,
gunner.
Hey, Coleman.
Or a barrel.
Coleman,
It has to change a barrel.
All right.
Coleman,
Can't be real.
Coleman,
Tell me you're a
will a
poet.
flat tire cause the will a flat tire cause the those vehicles to miss their target?
Yes, it will.
Unless
No, it won't.
Unless the software calculates for it. Unless the software calculates for it.
Okay,
Yes, someone that knew, not you.
With a flat tire, just fine.
Unless
I
the
can-
software
Oh.
calculates for it.
radar
Dodge
system
Petty,
that
you're
almost
awesome.
through the
That's so
town.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need targets
out from a
Software
I can aim
calculates
out
for
from
it, then yes,
with a flat
it will
tire,
be
no
fine.
problem.
Hey, Coleman.
When it targets something, it targets it with a radar bill
Ask me
onto
why
the
I
top
know.
of the truck. And when it targets that target, it can pinpoint that barrel straight at that target. But it has to know where level is in order for it to calculate, the computer to calculate in three-dimensional space. Okay?
Let's say
The
you had one flat
calculations,
tire, though.
the calculations over time get off a little bit, and
Oh,
they
my
have
goodness.
to be
You know what?
trued
It
up
should-
with real world.
I'm going to let them go a little bit. I'm going to
level.
I'm going to turn them down a little.
I don't know. I don't write the software. I can't tell you. All I know is we have to.
All right, I'll turn off there for a little bit. I want to catch up on these super chats here a little bit. Wow, I'm just going to let them burn out themselves on that a little bit. Oh, jeez. Shoo. There's holy crap. Hold on, people. Let me. Yep, mean seal. All right, Pat the chat says cirrhosis has entered the chat. Hail Sagan from Bill Tetley. Group Rage Quit from Fa of the QTube family. And then Lael says, check general chat channel on your Discord. Well, I'm not going to pop over there. In the middle of a debate, man, it's a little tough. But I'll look it up on my phone here. Hold on. General from Lael. Let's see what he has. I don't know what I'm going to see. Oh, is that when they the screenshot of when they booted me? Oh my gosh! It just goes back too far. Lael, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Send me a straight message here so that I know. Probably you were talking about when Jason Whatcurve booted everybody, I suppose. Tim Pryor says, for crying out loud, the only people that think you're a loon are people that believe they are smarter than billions because of YouTube. That's right, Tim Pryor. Thank you for that. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mind. A loon is a majestic bird. And it's the state bird of Minnesota, so. NA says, come on, tell us what the proof is of your toon shine. The proof of my toon shine is 0. At the moment. But I do have some 10 proof toon shine right down there. Maybe. Fa of the QTube family says, my personal political leaning is what does that have to do with the shape of the earth? It has nothing to do with the shape and flurfs. It doesn't matter which political party they're from. They support space exploration. So flurfs have to reject all. So PhD Tony says, I sent you an email with the Indian geoid map. Okay, I will look at that. That sounded pretty cool. So thanks, PhD Tony. David Griffin, who's been a member for 10 months, says, how about the flurfs provide positive evidence? Oh, you are such an optimist. They know that they don't have positive evidence. That's why they intentionally refuse to say that they think that the earth is flat. That's 100% the reason why they do that. They know they don't have evidence for it. It's an admission. When they say, when a flat earther says that they don't think the earth is flat, they're just a globe skeptic or a globe denier. When a flat earther says, I don't know what shape the earth is, but I know it's not a globe, what they are doing is they are waving the white flag. They are admitting that they have no evidence for the shape of the earth that they think it is. That's what they are doing. It is an absolute admission of failure. And every single piece of evidence for the globe that they say, I just know it's not a globe, is generally one of two things: a misunderstanding or blatant denialism. That's it. That's it. That's all they have. And we know that when they say that they're not a flat earther, that they're just a globe denier. That's what they're doing. They're just admitting that. So there you go. Bob, the QTube family says he'll get back around. He's talking in circles. So Danny, for $5, says, when did we find out the distance of the Earth from Sun? In 1653, astronomer Christian Huygens calculated the distance from Earth to the Sun. Yes. So they like to put up that meme. I looked into it, and I think most of the things on that meme are wrong. But they do like that meme. So, not that means anything. Science improves. It gets better. The how much certainty did they have of the earliest ones? They were probably pretty open in saying, we're not super confident about it, but this is what we output. This is what we figured. So Peter Miss Prime is a new member at Newton. Thank you for that. We got Cynthia Merritt for $5. Says pressure actually increases conductivity of electricity. Well, yeah, yeah, not you're not going to get a whole lot with the kinds of pressure that you might get that you could put on the Earth. But yeah, it does. So. Cretenball says Discord is where the wish.com flirts live. Man, they sit around all day. If you haven't looked at these Discord servers, and I'm on a whole bunch of these Flurf Discord servers, and sometimes I'll pop around, I'll just look, oh, there's 30 people, midday, 30 people on this server, 50 people on this server, 75 over here, 12 on this one. They're all Flurf servers. And they sit around all day, every day, just and a lot of them are like the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server is an absolute echo chamber. If you come in there and you don't get to last long before they boot you. So, but yeah, there's a few Globers that are in there, but mostly it's just these Flat Earthers all day long. And you look at the Glober servers, there's one that I know of. I forgot his name. Why did I forget his name? Anyway, there's one called Debate Flat Earth and More. What's his name? Why can't I remember his name? I'm on that one. That's the only Glober server where people are in voice chat all the time. So, Tim Pryor says for $5, me Flat Earther, me watch YouTube, me smarter than billions, but will continue to use technology not made by Flat Earthers. Yes. Lael says, I had a stroke of inspiration. One of the reasons the Flurfs are belligerent is they drink. Yes. Yeah. They do. They do a lot of consumption of, I don't know, dude, they just can't be sober on here. Some of them midday too, midday for them, not just because of time zone. Berillian says, who's been a member for a month, says Flurfs dot their T's and cross their I's, spelled EYES. Lael says, we learned some the new today by Apoc. Plastic is plastic and metal is metal. Yes. Oh, he was so confused. So aggressive on the denialism. Nerd Alert, who's been a member for 31 months, says Flat Earthers. Michelson Morley proves once and for all that Earth is stationary. Also Flat Earthers. Michelson Gale was just somebody doing something and saying something. You gotta pick them cherries. Absolutely. The same guy. Michelson was involved in both of them. He's totally happy accepting Michelson Morley, but Michelson Gale, oh, nah. Oh, Apocryphon wants to. Hey, Apocryphon. I was not listening for a second, but Apocryphon was asking if I'm here, so I am. I'm back.
Yeah. I just wanted to say cool talking with you. I know it's probably, I don't know if it's the end of your show or not, but thank you for the conversation, man. I honestly want to get more in, with you. I want to talk about more things that are on my mind that that we didn't even cover in this situation, but
sure,
I know you do it for the content, but yeah,
I do it for the love. Come on.
Yeah, he actually does. He really does.
Does it for the streets. He does it for the streets.
Yes. So I have a couple of things to say now, if I can get a moment. If you folks are constantly, we are asking for evidence. That's all we care about. We don't care about anything else. What somebody has to say is not evidence. What somebody thinks is not evidence, okay? What somebody believes is not evidence. None of that is evidence, and yet folks cannot seem to understand that you've never brought us any evidence whatsoever. This is evidence. If you guys want to take a look here in, I'm broadcasting right now, or whatever you want to call it. I'm sharing my
looking
screen.
at a lion. Yeah, Leo, right? Is that Leo? Is that the whatchamacallit? What do they call those? The Zodiac Leo?
Yeah.
Constellation you're thinking of.
Yeah, the constellation, yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Look at I'm like 15 beers in. My bad. Sorry.
Well, he talks about evidence, but then he doesn't want to understand what basic wear and tear is on any kind of machinery. So yeah,
Sounds like
You compare a normal gun to proper machinery.
Evidence.
Don, shut.
Look, I don't like wear and tear. I don't like wear and tear. Let's not. We don't want to talk about wear and tear.
To say to me
It's
because you cannot prove nothing to me. It's just you refute everything I argue. It's just like basic wear and tear.
Yeah, because argument is nothing but hot air. Argument is nothing.
Wear and tear of mechanical.
You've been talking all night long.
Well, it is.
Yeah, that's what the stream was all about,
There's wear and tear. There's wear and tear while the damn. There's wear and tear while the damn things sit there in the parking lot. Fuck off.
Yeah, and all that, and you're trying. First of all, Don, from what you've been saying, from what you have been saying, I don't believe a single thing you said. I have been machining for more than 40 years, more than 45 years actually. Come to think of it, I have been machining. I have my own machine shop. Okay. And you can ask MC Toon. He will tell you that I did some machining for him.
I have it down in the corner here. It's going to be in a video soon.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I've been machining too. And I write G code, R code, everything. So we're both in.
That's not machining.
Yes, it is.
That's coding.
I was watching Leo and the stars, and then all of a sudden I'm watching someone playing a game. Come on, man, what's going on over here? What kind of circus is this?
Not machining, because that's the language that most machines read in.
Awesome. All right, I'm not done yet, guys. I'll be back. Okay.
All right.
Hold on.
All right. What was that? No, so that was Leslie Rohrer, who goes on there by it's Neil deGrasse Tyson because they think that he has a similar voice to him apparently. So all right, let me read a few more here. Let's see. Lord Illuminous Pooh says, I tried making my cyberpunk character look like me, but the naughty part slider didn't go that small. King Crew says, Loon, where my book? King Crew. Well, I'm gonna deliver it to Repo Sandman, remember, and then he's gonna have it. No. Randomly Epic says, I tuned in late, and he spelled tuned in with T-O's. Tuned in late, and the first thing I heard was a car tire is flat, therefore Earth is flat. How does that work exactly? So coal mining man talked about the I think it's a rotation measuring device that they put on artillery or 50 cal machine guns, and that you need to occasionally calibrate them because of the rotation of the Earth, and fake Don Pettit is like, oh, but there's wear and tear, and like there's shocks and there's tires, like shocks and tires don't have anything to do with the rotation of the Earth. Somebody commented, I had a flat tire and 6 hours later my car was on its side. So there it is. Boy, the straw grasping is through the roof. Oh, look at that. This is Mikey Smith. He's got these giant binoculars because he takes his camera and has it not focus. And he's like, there's the firmament. Oh my gosh, Mikey. He's so goofy. I hope you like the song. That the Mikey Smith SpaghettiOs song. Luke Filewalker says, who's been a member for 2 full years, says that awkward moment when a CEO of 5 companies is so far removed from the actual argument that it's not even right or wrong. Just absolutely. Elia Baca for 5,500 clips. I don't know. Clips. Says, ask them why the laser gyro measures the same drift while mounted on a vehicle or on a table or underground. Also, how does atmosphere affect it when it's insulated and shielded? Oh, a good one. I'll ask that. And Many Karen says, Toon, please remember not to press your opponents too much for answers. If you do, it'll slow down the electricity and cause buffering. Absolutely. All right. Here we go.
Hear me out. Just hear me out. No, because you have to believe the evidence. You just showed me.
What do you mean you have to believe the evidence?
You showed me.
These are observations.
No. You showed
These
me.
are observations. You could make these observations yourself.
You showed me a screen with the graphic. That's literally, you have to just believe that to be true.
No, you could make these observations yourself.
No, bro. I can take my toe.
Oh my god, dude!
Is that Alex Jones' brother?
You don't get it, dude. You don't get it.
I have a question. You don't get it. Ready.
Listen.
Look. When you have,
hold on. Right. Hey, hold on. All right, go ahead and read your question, MC.
Why does a laser gyroscope measure the same drift when mounted on a vehicle or on a table or underground? And then how does the atmosphere affect it when it's insulated and shielded?
I think because it's broken.
Okay, broken. We got one. Any other
shocks, wear and tear.
Wear and tear on the shocks, okay.
Refraction.
I don't know how that does it, but amazing.
Well, you're talking about lasers, light refracts.
Yeah, inside of a laser gyroscope.
No. Well, but McToon,
smoke and mirrors.
But McToon, here's the thing though. So when you turn it on, it has to do like a little self-diagnosis check, to make sure that it's going to take its, coordinates accordingly on this azimuthal plane, and then when you pull, the data from it, it knows that in its footprint, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at, and then as you move it, it's going to be able to record from that footprint. It will be able.
How does it know that it moved?
Because you moved it.
But how does it know that?
Because you moved it.
No, but a very specific question. How does it know that you moved it? How is it measuring the lateral movement?
Because if it's connected to another instrument that has taken that footprint datum point of where it's at, and then if you moved it over, so many degrees and so many feet, it has an algorithm to where it's gonna know this is how far I traveled and this is the speed I traveled.
So the footprint removal.
Is the ring laser gyro sentient?
No, so the gyro is based on
together.
But Apocryphon, hold on. Just a second, people. How does it know how does it, in and of itself, without other things being connected, how does the ring laser gyroscope know that it's been moved?
It doesn't unless there's software based and there's
Exactly.
mechanical based.
Okay, good, excellent. So it measures rotation independent of all that. It just measures rotation.
Measure rotation. It just measures software and mechanical.
It measures
software is absolute. The software is absolute. The mechanical.
The software is absolute. Okay. Do you have the source code so I can look at it?
Recalibrate to the mechanical.
There's nothing mechanical.
Wear and tear.
It's almost like this, McToon. Like, does your hand know by itself how high it is off the floor?
No, it has nothing to do with that at all. It's a device that measures rotation.
Because it's software. Because software is the brain of that, even calculating all these movements for the mechanical. So if your hand is mechanical and you're like, you're raising it, you're lowering it, you're raising it, but your hand is mechanical. What do you mean?
But the ring laser gyroscope is not mechanical.
Oh, so you're
talking
saying
about the same thing, same exact topic for like an hour,
and software based. So it's both.
Yeah, we're getting the same
How
exact
do we get
dumb
back to
reasons for the
this?
last hour.
Yeah, it's
too.
optical. It's optical. It's not mechanical. It's physical, but it's not mechanical.
Yeah.
And Don, I haven't.
You probably should.
What do you mean it's not mechanical?
You probably
because the second that
you should not be telling us. Look, you should not be telling us things about optical gyroscope if you don't know that an optical gyroscope doesn't spin, doesn't have mechanics.
It's not relying on something physically spinning. It is not a mechanical gyroscope. Yes, there's mechanisms to read the damn thing, but it's not a mechanical gyroscope.
The second
it comes to read it, it makes it mechanical. So don't tell me that.
Exactly.
No, when you say a mechanical gyroscope, you're talking about something that physically spins.
For your 5-10 new elements in the world, but what is base is base, and if something reads it that's mechanical, then it's mechanical.
It's not
right.
When you say a mechanical
or
gyroscope,
optical?
you are talking about something that physically spins, like a big disc or something.
Gosh.
Yeah.
The optical gyroscope does not have one of those. It measures the light going around it.
So your eyes are mechanical?
No, I said lens. Are
I
mechanical.
said no. You're saying that your eyes are mechanical.
Yes, they are. They are mechanical because there is substance to it. So therefore, there is your eyes, which are mechanical, and then you got your software, which is
mechanical. Are you serious?
No, it's nonsense.
All right.
If you're saying
Moving on.
Can you see with your physical eyes? Can you see with your
Don,
physical eyes?
hold on.
Then that means it's mechanical.
If you're saying,
I think
that shit.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think
Don.
we're drawing it to a close here. Don and Apocryphon, I did want to thank you guys a lot. You guys stepped up. Some of the coolest flat earthers I know came here to take Mr. MC Toon on. Is there any way, anywhere we should look for you guys? Do you have any content we should follow?
nah, if you know me, you know me. If you don't, you don't. That's okay. I'm all right with that. We're gonna have beers either way. Cheers.
All right. A pint of ice cream for me.
Same here. If you know me, you know me. If you don't, you don't. Oh well.
2 gallons for me.
I'll
have 2 gallons.
But I will always be in
the
this channel.
Tartaria Discord. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, always.
Right. I mean, originally we had the Asylum server, which was really cool and fun back in the day.
That place was insane.
That was insane. Absolutely, I love that.
Good.
It was perfectly
I want to rebuild
named.
it. To be honest,
It's still there.
It was. You're right. I still have it. I could it's still there. The Asylum's still there, but I do want to rebuild it and recreate it. But I don't want to because nowadays there's so many other servers like Tartaria and Earth Awakenings. And you have what's the name? Anti-Disinfo League.
Shane's
servers.
awesome server. I should do a debate. Yeah. Shane, we need to do a debate on there sometime.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I'm only connected to Tartaria, so that's my only Discord on Flat Earth. or
right.
round Earth, or concave Earth,
See,
or
hey,
some of these strange people like McToon here.
It's strange. What are you talking about?
Shines?
Shines sent me an invite when we had both gotten booted. Sent me an invite to the Asylum. It's so there's a server called the Asylum.
Yeah. That is my server. I'm bringing it back. If you want to join it, and go ahead and join, and I'll see you over there sometime.
Right. Sin Cleanser, I'm coming for you. You tell him.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him know.
The bulldozer.
If you want to
I'm gonna bulldoze him.
If you want, hey, I'll tell you what. I will buy a couple, 24 packs for that night because I know it's gonna be fun.
You're gonna drink 48. Holy man!
Easy.
All right.
Hey,
all right.
I'm on my.
though, so.
Hey, hold on. Listen. I'm not trying to advertise.
Oh yeah,
or,
you are. We know you are. It's all
I'm
good.
I'm not trying to promote for these guys, but you know what? Like, I'm literally on my 16th Coors Light. They're amazing. They're tasting. I posted a picture.
Especially Coors Light. Do not go with the Bud Light. Go Coors.
Yes, fuck Bud Light with their dumbass shit they got going on.
Real.
But that's okay though.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
That's just a meme.
Coors Light.
So
Bud Light.
I'd like to also thank you, Mr. MC Toon, for coming on and debating these guys 2 against 1. It was honestly unfair for you. It's I don't know.
I beat them up a bit too much. I'm sorry, guys.
You guys pretended like I wasn't even here for the first hour.
But you know what, though? All jokes aside, Mick Toon loves a DP every now and then.
Deep penetration?
No.
I'm just kidding, Mick Toon.
That's a hard pass, buddy.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Mike
just kidding.
Mike doesn't seem to mind, but it really pisses me off that you guys can't get his name right.
No,
Mike. Who's Mike?
It's me. I'm Mike. It's how they self-identify.
Who was that?
Yes,
Mike?
Yeah.
It helps me to identify on a server of unknowns people that call me Micktoon are flirfs, and people that don't are
true.
not. So don't change it. How else would I know who you are?
Okay, then, Michael.
Hey, crap! Don't do that.
Funny.
You can't confuse me like that. All right, people. Thank you very much. I'm gonna drop off the Discord server and I'll go back. I have some people on my my live stream here to talk to, but it's been great. Thanks a lot, Demon's Try, Apocryphon, and Fake Done Pet. It's been real. We'll see you. All right. Wow. There. That was crazy. It always is there. I do much prefer. You let me know in the comments. Do you prefer when we really try to keep it just 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 or something like that? That's what I do like. That last part there where it's kind of a mess. It's fun. It's interesting, but for a longer time, I prefer to have a little more structure. So, Lord Illuminous Pooh. The 13-year-old in me just loves that name. Lord Illuminous Pooh says, for $5, there is an unknown point between the sun and earth that will perfectly cook popcorn. I call it the popcorn event horizon. But if you leave it too long, does it get that burnt popcorn smell? That's the worst. Baux1 says, Flat Earthers sound like wrestlers before a WWE SmackDown. Yes, that's funny. And then Leal says, I learned something new today, that ring lizard gyroscopes are sentient. I don't need these. So yeah, the amounts of things that they just invented out of nowhere about how different things work is amazing. They seem to think that ring laser gyroscopes somehow can measure when you move them back and forth. And And oh man, he really wanted to go. He was really trying for Michelson-Morley. And I'm like, oh, you want to talk about interferometers? You bet. Michelson-Gale. And it took him a while before he figured out that I was talking about Michelson-Gale instead of Michelson-Morley. And he's like, somebody sent me a message. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but I've been drinking a lot. You know, you don't say. But I don't think he quite understood it. They never do. They really can't. This really nails them. This really does. Michelson-Morley plus Michelson-Gale. They can't work together for flat Earth. It absolutely doesn't work. And I totally trapped him, and they both just ran, right? Either Earth stationary, ether stationary in Michelson-Morley, or Earth stationary, ether rotating in Michelson-Gale, but it can't be both. It can't be both. Yeah, because they're like, it measured the vortex of the ether. Well, then Michelson-Morley would have as well. Randomly Epic for $5 says, I wonder if Flurfs drink so much so they don't have to remember the beating you gave them in the morning. Also, I prefer the one-on-one debates. Yeah, I do too. So I will continue to try to have it so that it's one-on-one, at least for, the first section. So I am on tomorrow. I am recording on a podcast that Dearth was on. So when the podcast comes out, I will make sure to note so people could go watch it. And I'd really appreciate if you go to the actual podcast on the video, and it's not live. It's pre-recorded. So if you went there and just watched the video and gave it a thumbs up and commented a bunch. So here's why. If a podcast, and he's a fringe guy, if a podcast brings me on and they get a whole bunch of extra views, then some other podcasts might say, hey, let's bring them on too. Because here's what Dearth does. Dearth sells this app, right? It's $3 to download, as I understand it. And he goes on these different podcasts and talks about his fake challenge. He's like, well, I have the 3 Bitcoin challenge. And here's what you do. Number 1, you download the app. $3. Then you go watch videos every day for 2 weeks or something like that. And then if after you watch all those videos, you still think the Earth is a globe, then you just prove to me that the Earth is a globe and you get 3 Bitcoin. Of course, prove to me is a subjective thing, right? They use the word proof as if proof is objective. But when he says prove to me, right? Because people have gone through it before. People have sent him their proofs. He doesn't even respond to them. It's a fake challenge. But he goes on to these podcasts. He presents his case. He goes over these things, and I'm watching them, and they're just blatant lies. Like, he knows. He's been around long enough to know that a P1000 at a star is just out of focus. He's not ignorant of that problem, but he still uses it. He's not. He uses the Southern Hemisphere flights that definitely do exist. He just rejects that they exist and says, well, what about these other flights? He knows that these flights exist. He knows that Max Igan went on one of those flights. He knows it, but he won't bring it up. And he knows, this is Dearth's thing, he goes on places where he won't get challenged at all. Where either they don't have the background to challenge him, or they're just not the type of place that will challenge him. So the place I'm going on tomorrow doesn't challenge people. It's just, let me bring you on and you get a spout whatever, and then I'll just say, interesting at the end. That's it. So anyway, I'm doing that tomorrow, recording that, and I'll let you know when it's out. I did record earlier last week for a podcast that's already been recorded, so I'll let you know on that one as well. So that's it. I got, let's see. Lael comes in again with either Mickelson, and somebody mentioned that in my Conspiracy Tunes video that it's Mickelson instead of Michelson, but I've heard both. Right? It's Michelson instead of Michaelson. So for some reason, if it's got the AE, there's no question. It's a hard K sound. If it's got just the E, then there's a confusion. I don't know which is right. If somebody knows how he preferred his name to be pronounced, let me know. Then I'll have a citation. I'll put it on my website, and then I'll use that one if it's a good, solid source. So anyway, that's what I have. People, thank you very much. It's been great. This has been a lot of fun. You know what I'm going to do? Gonna get my outro ready, and I'm gonna prep it so that it doesn't have so much trouble. You know, sometimes there's trouble with it. I didn't put. Usually, I try to put the in the description. Try to put the link to the server, but I know somebody puts a link in there earlier. So if somebody wants to just drop, just to be fun, just to be fair, the link to the Tartaria server. So let's see. So I've discovered, and I think this is the case, and I'm going to test it today, because sometimes I have a problem with the outro video working. I'm going to prep it by loading it in. So give me a second. Go to there, go to there, go to that. It's in my Dropbox, you know. There it is. That. Oh, that. Oh, good. We're getting there. L pipe grep MP4. And the name of the file is, you're getting a little background here, a little thing. Outro with members and patrons. So then we go. I did this last time, I think. Awesome. And then here it is. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a SHA of it, which reads everybody the file. Then I'm going to switch to the video. We'll see if it works here. People, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, and somebody went in. All right. I messed it up. It was on the wrong window. So Ben Hova for 550 New Zealand says if they were saying the helium isn't spinning because it's the Earth, and then they must also think they aren't spinning if they were riding a merry-go-round. Of course, it was just a straw grasping exercise. That's all they do. You show them, they ask for evidence, you show them evidence, and then they're like, oh crap, I didn't mean that. So, all right, people, we'll see ya. Hey, it worked. It worked. Dave Kircher. Last second thank Titicaca. It's Tuesday. Thanks, Dave.